I did not see if he is safe.
Yeah. All right. Well, Robin, we thank you very much for talking to us. I know it's been a traumatic experience for you. Thank you for sharing it, and we're glad that you are okay.
Yes, we are.
Thank you guys for taking my call. Have a good day.
All right.
Oh, thank you. All
All
right.
right.
I know that we have another witness on the phone with us. Is that right?
It's, no, I think it's, let's go to Tim Pulliam, who has a witness live on camera.
Sorry about that.
Tim? Okay, let's hold on. If you're just tuning in, we continue to watch this situation in downtown Durham at 115 North Duke Street, where a apparent natural gas explosion has led to a building collapse.
All right, our Tim Pulliam has been on the scene for us, and he now joins us again. Tim, did you find someone who witnessed this?
I did. I had someone here at this church here in the foreground, right here. He's a construction worker. Let me just bring you in, Mr. Hendrick. Tell me what you heard and what you saw.
Well, we were up on the roof, you know, popping our lines and everything, and out of nowhere we hear this loud boom and felt an aftershock. You know, the whole roof system shook, and, you know, I immediately looked over this way, and, you know, pretty much all you see is just a cloud of smoke go up. And then you see the building just slowly crumble down and people scattering out of there and everything.
What was going through your mind when you saw that?
Honestly, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. So, I mean, my first instinct was like 9/11. And then, you know, all I could think about is, you know, just my wife and my kids.
Right. There was several of you on the roof. How many? Because you guys have been working all morning.
Yeah, there were about four of us over here, about 5 or 6 on the other side. We all felt the aftershock from it.
Unbelievable. We're still waiting to find out how many people were injured from this incident. Your thoughts to them right now?
Man, I pray, you know, not too many people got hurt too bad, and, you know, a lot of prayers go out to the families of anybody injured, really.
Absolutely. Mr. Hendrick, thank you so much. I imagine work is suspended for the rest of the day. Have you got the call yet?
Right now we're on standby just to see if the smoke's going to clear out and if we're going to be able to get back up there. But there's a good chance it might be called for the day.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Hendrick, so much. Barbara, John, there is a daycare at this church. They have been evacuated, and they are now over here by the NC Mutual Life building. That's where a lot of the workers in this area are now staging. There is, I'm told from Durham Police, a staging area for the media. I'm assuming that they're going to be giving us a report very soon, but that staging area is behind the old DPD headquarters. My photographer, Skeeta Curry, just kind of showing you the scope of how everything is shut down. You're looking at Chapel Hill Road and Duke Street, that intersection. There's no traffic going in either direction. You can see several media outlets here and just people standing by looking to see what happened here. I was speaking with a coffee shop worker. She told me that she works at the coffee shop, I think she told me it was Caffeinated, beside the Prescient building. She was not inside the building. She was actually on her way out of town when she got a phone call that there had been an evacuation. And so she rushed back over here. She started calling her coworkers. You can actually see her. Pan over here, Skeet. I want to show you the worker. So this lady in the black here, this is who I was talking to. She got a phone call from her coworkers inside the building that they had been evacuated. She said that they got out, and then that's when they saw and heard the explosion. So she is on scene just to make sure that everybody at that coffee shop is accounted for. I've been seeing her going back and forth, talking to medical personnel here on scene. This looks like organized chaos. I don't feel like anything is out of hand here. You know, there's several police. PSNC Energy is out here, obviously fire trucks. I don't see any EMS ambulances here, but there were several when we pulled up. And the onlookers have now dwindled a bit as well. The fire is not as thick, John and Barbara, as it was about an hour ago when I first came out here. So maybe firefighters are getting some ground here and putting this out. But certainly just a frantic scene out here. You just heard from that construction worker who was on top of this church here when he was rattled by this explosion and knocked him back. Again, we don't know any words on how many people have been affected by this. That is the latest. Barbara, John, back to you.
All right, thank you, Tim Pulliam. We were also talking to another witness just minutes ago who said she drove past the area, smelled just an intense odor of gas to the point where it almost made her sick. She passed by and then saw the explosion or heard it in her rearview mirror. And you can see there's a car right there with the windshield just shattered.
We'll be talking to another witness on the phone in just a moment. Just want to get this word to you from Durham Public Schools. This occurred right next to or very close to the Durham School of the Arts. DPS says our students and staff are safe in place at the school.
Good.
There have been no injuries with the school. Dismissal is in process. So if you have a student at Durham School of the Arts, your child is safe, but they have a dismissal process going on right now.
All right, so Lori Burke is on the phone with us right now. Lori, can you hear us? We're hoping to get Lori on the phone, a witness. Can you hear us, Lori?
Yes, I can.
Lori, where were you and what did you see?
Well, me and my best friend were on the way to her doctor's appointment on Duke Street further down, and we were sitting right literally at the light in front of El Toreros. El Toreros was to our left. There was a fire truck to our right, and there was one in front of us. There was a firefighter had just went into El Toreros, and there was a worker standing in a white shirt, and then like two other firefighters there, and then like a white senior citizen bus. And you know, we were just like, man, they must have hit a gas line. And like literally, as soon as I said that, it just exploded. The whole car shook. If we had been through the intersection, the windows would have been knocked out of the car. I literally thought we were just going to flip over it.
Oh,
that's amazing.
wow.
Now, could you smell any smoke beforehand? We had a witness a few minutes ago who told us that she was in that same area and she smelled heavy, not smoke, gas, heavy gas.
Yeah. Yeah, we could smell gas, you know, once we were like, oh, they must have hit a gas line. Because, you know, if they're doing construction in the fire departments, they're like, oh, maybe it's a gas leak or something like that. And then, like, not even a few seconds later, you just see fire explosion, and the people that were there, like, they disappeared in front of our eyes. So
Wow.
I don't really know what happened. And after that, you know, we went left. People came running out of El Toreros. You know, it was just chaos. You know, I know you all are saying it's organized chaos now, but when it was there, people a block away, people were just coming out of everywhere. You know, we were trying to tell people it was a gas explosion, you know, at the same time trying not to have panic attacks. Like, it was unreal. You know, if we hadn't been down there, we would have thought maybe it was a terrorist attack or something. It was horrible.
Wow. Yes, other witnesses have echoed what you said, that it was people running and screaming, and it was a traumatic situation.
So after this blast, L'Oreal, what happened to you? What did you do? Well, tell us.
Well, we made it down the street and pulled over, you know, just so we could gather our bearings, you know, because we were freaking out. Like, I can't even describe it to you. I really don't know. We just had to pull over and gather our thoughts and get ourselves together. Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, L'Oreal, we're still here. And this must have been shaking you to the core to see this. Did you happen to see any, I guess you didn't stick around to see the extent of the injuries of those people?
No, we weren't able to see, like I said, when it exploded, we just saw that the guys that were there disappeared.
Wow. Well, you've been through a very terrible experience. We appreciate you sharing this with us, and we are glad that you're okay.
Yes.
And you and your friend made it out of that okay. Thank you, L'Oreal.
Yeah. Others, I thank you all so much. You know, I just pray that everyone's okay that's involved.
I do too.
They're all in our prayers. Thank you, L'Oreal.
Thank you so much. Again,
Thank
if
you.
you're just now tuning, thank you so much. If you're just now tuning in, you're seeing a live picture from Chopper 11 HD as the result of a suspected gas leak, explosion, and collapse of a building at the Prescient Corporation of Duke and Morgan in downtown Durham. Obviously, you see the first responders on the scene here and firefighters trying to put out major flames and smoke. They're doing a phenomenal job. It looks like they're really tackling this from all areas. We are waiting to find out about injuries. We don't know anything. We understand that there are. We don't know how many, how severe. There is a school across the street, the Durham School of the Arts, and we have heard from that school that they're telling the families there that there's been a gas explosion in a building near the school. Our students and staff are safe in place at the school, which is excellent news because this area near Brightleaf is so popular. So many people live and work in that area. There have been no injuries at our school, they're telling us. They say they're dismissing school early under the guidance of emergency responders. Buses will be bringing students home as soon as possible on their standard bus routes, and they say they're sending student drivers home. Students who ride the car to school may be picked up at the Trinity United Methodist Church parking lot. Any student who does not have a parent at home and cannot be released from the bus on their own will be taken to the Brogdon Middle School auditorium for reunification with their parents. Please do not attempt to come to campus. And as emergency responders, as you can see right here, have blocked access to the area. They're going to keep you informed of any more developments. The best news there, no injuries at that school.
That is wonderful news. And you see the smoke there is gray and white, but earlier, much different situation. We have some video we want to show you from earlier in this explosion and building collapse in downtown Durham. And you see that on the right. You see raging flames there, these ground shots, and you see the fire crews on the scene trying to put out the flames about 30 minutes ago. Lots of rubble left behind. Let's see if we have another picture now of another view.
First responders pulling someone injured.
Yeah, and of course we blurred that out because we don't want to show you
protect that person.
We've seen that one person taken away in an ambulance, but from what witnesses are telling us, there may have been several people close by when this blast occurred, and so we're assuming that there are probably some more injuries and maybe some severe.
Yeah, we've talked to people firsthand here on the phone, people who witnessed this. Obviously, so many people witnessed it, felt it, heard it, that are telling their stories on social media. We've gotten so many who've just shown pictures and talked about how intense the explosion was and how it felt. And obviously, you can see the damage that has been done. Just an incredible scene, and so many first responders there just trying to put out these flames and the smoke and try to take care of those who are injured.
Durham police have set up a media staging area and their old police headquarters, so they're asking reporters to go to that. But authorities are saying that avoid any and all traffic in the downtown Durham area. They're going to try to update road closings as soon as possible. But even the Durham Freeway going to downtown from either direction is congested right now.
Obviously, these pictures live from Chopper 11 HD. We do have crews on the ground, and we have seen some people who are injured. We have video of at least 2 people being taken from the scene. We don't know the severity of the injuries, and we don't know how many, but we understand that there are. Again, now you can see the name of the building. It's the Prescient building, which is the old Liggett and Myers cigarette factory in downtown Durham, and you can see a lot of the flames are now out. You see that still a lot of smoke on this building. So many people in this area that work or live just reported hearing a massive explosion and felt it. Some even relating it to, they thought it was something like a terrorist attack when they heard it, and that there were people running from the scene and screaming, and that it was chaotic, as you can imagine.
One eyewitness saying that she saw one of the building authorities putting a sign up saying business closed due to gas leak, or words to that effect. And shortly after that, she heard a tremendous blast. Joining us on the telephone now, another eyewitness, or perhaps ear witness, Josh Trainin. Josh, tell us what you heard and where you were at the time.
So I work right across the street at Duke University Press, which is in Brightleaf. So my car is in the parking lot right next to the Prescient building. We were all in our office, and we heard and felt this massive explosion. People thought that it felt like something was either coming through the roof or like the whole building shook. And then immediately, just like everyone was like, okay, we need to get out of the building. We don't know what's happening. And by the time we made it out onto the street, we could already see the smoke billowing out, and within like a minute or two, police cars and ambulances started arriving.
Wow. So your car is in that parking lot?
Yeah. So yeah, the entire that's the Brightleaf parking lot. So everyone's car. I mean, I'm not really concerned about my car. I'm more concerned about like the people that are nearby, the lives. I hope that like the people that are injured are okay. But yeah, it was very close.
No doubt about that. I just was wondering if there's any debris and damage to the cars in the parking lot too.
Yeah, I mean, there might be. There's windows nearby. I know the restaurant bar, the Fed, their windows were blown out, and that's farther away than that parking lot. So I think we're just going to have to go see later if there's any damage.
Wow. I know it was traumatic. I know that so many people just were stunned by the sound and the feeling of that explosion.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's scary. I think that like I didn't want to jump to any sort of what's going on. I wanted to try to figure out the best way to proceed to safety. But I think that people just thought it was like a bus had hit the building or something. We weren't really sure what had happened.
Yeah. Did you immediately evacuate, you and your coworkers?
Yeah, we all immediately evacuated. It wasn't really clear what was happening, but like someone in my like immediate vicinity was like, we should leave the building. And then once we left our suite, we saw people like from every part of the office evacuating. So it was pretty clear like we needed to leave whatever was happening.
All right, that's Josh Trainin. Josh, we appreciate you sharing your story with us. But as far as you know, everybody concerned with your business and your unit is okay?
Yes, as far as I know, everyone is okay.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Were you going to say something else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Josh, thank you. All right, we also have Tim Pulliam, who is on the ground in that area. He talked with a woman named Donna and about what she saw. Let's listen to that.
Donna Hester, can you tell me what you heard and what you saw? Where were you?
I was in the bathroom at the bus terminal, and we just heard a loud explosion, like boom. So everybody in the bathroom was like, "What is that?" So we ran out of the bathroom, and then everybody in the bus terminal was saying, "What is that?" So we went outside, and the police officers, we could see them running, and on their radios they were saying that it was a gas explosion for us to get back inside the building. So we all went back inside the building and went upstairs to look out the window, and we could see smoke and people running. I guess they were coming this way, and then some people were running the other way. But,
what was your reaction to all of this?
I've been doing a lot of praying because I've seen so many ambulances and stuff going down there. This looks bad. Yeah. This really looks bad. They said that I guess one building has been leveled. Yeah.
We're told there has been a collapse at
yes,
one of the buildings.
Yes.
The Prescient building was the one impacted the most?
Well, I don't know which building it is.
Yeah, over here in this area.
I don't know which building it is. But I just hope everybody's okay.
Thank you so much, Donna.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. That's all I need.
Thanks.
Back to live pictures now, downtown Durham, Chopper 11 HD. Over the scene as firefighters continue to put out the hot spots of this gas leak, explosion, and building collapse in the Brightleaf Square area.
We also heard from a gentleman named Leon Brown who witnessed this as well. Do we have his interview? Okay.
What did you see? What happened?
Well, I was inside my apartment, and when I was inside, it just started the whole building shook. It was like intense. I feel like I felt it through my whole body. So I knew something was wrong. So I told myself, let me go outside and check to see, and that's when I found out that it was an explosion, and I seen all the debris on the ground, and they made us evacuate the building and move further back.
Do you know what building it is down there? Are you familiar?
I don't know exactly which building it is, but I know it's the Duke building right behind mine. So.
And when you came outside, what did you encounter? What did you see?
Well, first I saw the smoke, the debris on the ground, and just a lot of people evacuating, a lot of people moving, some people on the ground crying, very stressful.
Pretty frightening?
Yeah, pretty frightening. I was nervous, I was frightened upstairs. I never experienced anything like that, so I knew something definitely was intense, something was going on.
Did you see a lot of people that were injured?
No, I just seen maybe two females on the ground just sitting there. But I did see a lot of debris, a lot of brick, so don't know where exactly they come from. I did see the windows blown out in the building next to mine, so it was a lot.
Wow.
That was Leon Brown, who was in the area when this explosion happened.
Just a huge field of rubble there at 115 North Duke Street. We have another eyewitness who spoke to our reporter a few minutes ago, too. This is Tara McQueen.
And what did you see and hear?
We just heard something like it sounded almost like something hit the building, almost like a bomb. And actually our ceiling caved in a little bit, and some of the light fixtures fell. My window burst, my co-worker's windows burst as well.
And so what did you do next as soon as that happened?
We automatically, because the fire alarms went off, so we automatically just grabbed our personal belongings and ran for the door.
And what did you see when you got outside?
Oh, we saw smoke. We saw smoke, and we saw individuals running, and we were actually unable to go and get our vehicles, which is trapped inside the garage down there.
Just how frightening was it?
I am scared out of my mind, because again, I initially thought it was a bomb. It sounded like someone actually threw a bomb on top of the building. So I'm still shaking, actually.
Anything? Did you see a lot of people that were hurt? Or?
I've heard a couple folks got injured from glass.
And that was Tara McQueen, an eyewitness. You're seeing a live picture from Chopper 11 HD, and you can see the firefighters still working to put the flames and the smoke out. And one eyewitness after the other that we have talked to expressed the same thing as Tara said, that just scared out of her mind, that it was a loud explosion, that she thought it was a bomb. So many other people, it was just jarring, this explosion. And what we're hearing from officials is that it's a possible gas leak with an explosion and that building collapse.
And we just want to tell you again about Durham School of the Arts, which is right next to this area. No injuries reported with those kids, but they are evacuating early. Buses are bringing students home as soon as possible on their standard bus routes. They're sending student drivers home. Students who ride the car to school may be picked up at the Trinity United Methodist Church parking lot. They say any students who don't have a parent at home cannot be released from the bus on their own, and who cannot will be taken to the Brogden Middle School auditorium for reunification with their parents. But no students injured in this blast at Durham School of the Arts or Brogden Middle for that matter.
Such good news, and we are waiting for a statement from Durham County officials, and when that happens we're going to bring it to you live. But Amber, she's over at our big board there with social media. So many people, as you see, just it's unbelievable their experience that they witnessed.
I know, you know, a beautiful day today, Barbara and John, everybody just kind of happy and about and enjoying that, and then you hear this explosion and you can imagine the fear that that puts into so many people. So we are staying on the air for continuing coverage right now, and we cannot stress the importance of social media in times like these to get the up-to-the-minute information. I'm here on Twitter. We're following the tag board. Hashtag Durham Fire is one of the trending hashtags. Also, hashtag Durham Explosion. If you have anything that you would like to get to us quickly, of course, the hashtag ABC11 is the quickest way for us to find things online. But yes, Durham, the city of Durham is still tweeting, please continue to avoid the area around Brightleaf Square. First responders on the scene working to get this under control. Stay out of the way so they can quickly work. And then also letting people know that PSNC is on the scene to address the suspected gas leak that allegedly caused this fire. But again, this is a fluid situation right now, so we are monitoring all of this very closely. But the main underscore right now is to avoid the area of Brightleaf Square. You have no choice now because they're blocking off the roads. But we want to show you in real time some of the posts that people started to take to social media using that hashtag Durham Fire or Durham Explosion, as you can see here. Video of the fire in Durham. Hope no one was hurt. A lot of prayers going out to so many people in Durham. Whenever you see something of this magnitude, that's the first thought, of course, is hopefully nobody is injured. Be safe, hashtag Durham. Look at that thick cloud of smoke just pouring over the city of Medicine there. And then Downtown block appears to be destroyed by the Durham explosion caused by gas leak, and then we're following all of our folks on ABC 11. Tim Pulliam is on the scene, as well as our photojournalists that are out there, and they will probably be tweeting and putting out some information as well. Here is really just moments after it happened. Look at that thick black smoke just pouring out of the building. You can see the flames and the collapse. This is going to probably be a picture that we will see for a long time following this as the investigation continues. But this person on Twitter, fortunately, hashtag Caffeinate Cafe was closed, but not everyone escaped without injury. That's according to that Twitter user. We have not confirmed any of that information right now, but says the pictures are bad and we're praying for those affected. Stay safe. Now, we should let you know that that is one of the areas, that Caffeinate Coffee. It is a definite known landmark in that area, and there are a lot of reports, early reports, that that is the area where this happened, and we will not give you information unless we get it confirmed, even sometimes twice before we go out with information like that. So be sure to stay with ABC 11 to get the latest on this breaking situation. Here is another picture there, and you can see it's one of those aerials where you can just see the explosion that just sunk in the building there. Thoughts and prayers, hashtag Durham Hearts with our first responders. And you know, John and Barbara, that's the thing too. We talk so much about the first responders, and they just run into these scenes not knowing what's going on. So we certainly want to make sure that everybody keeps them in their thoughts and prayers. Just that thick black smoke pouring over the city of Medicine. It is not a sight that people wanted to see and hear. Certainly we don't wish to be interrupting your programming with this news, but we will continue to follow it. Large boom heard and felt in downtown Durham. View from my office at American Tobacco. So that, on a day like this, I mean, it's probably a 10-mile visibility day. There's not a lot of clouds in the sky, John and Barbara, so you can imagine just how far and wide you could see that thick smoke. And you see it at the peak. It was just thick and black there, pouring over Durham. So you know, so many people are wondering what's going on, and we're of course continuing to stay on this. We'll continue to follow the hashtag Durham Explosion, hashtag Durham Fire, and of course send us any of your info with hashtag ABC11, and we'll get those up there. And we are keeping our finger on the pulse of this situation unfolding in Durham, John and Barbara, through social media. It's very important at times like these.
Thank you, Amber. And as you're looking at these live pictures from Chopper 11 HD, you see the work to put out the hot spots continues at the 115 North Duke Street. She mentioned the first responders, and we had at least one eyewitness say that she saw some firefighters in the area at the time, apparently checking out this gas leak just before the blast occurred. And we got some preliminary numbers on injuries.
We do, and these are preliminary, and this is from dispatchers and crews on the scene. Between 5 and 16 injured. Again, we don't know the severity of the injuries. We have seen in our own video that we took, a couple of people have been taken away from the scene. One on, it looked like a makeshift piece of metal that person was brought out of the area of danger, and also a person put on a stretcher, and we're waiting to get an update from Durham County officials on this crisis here, this horrible scene. As soon as we hear from them, we're going to bring that to you live. But again, you're seeing live pictures, Chopper 11 HD, of this building, this explosion and collapse, and it is a suspected gas leak. We don't have confirmation on that yet. But again, we've had witnesses in the area saying that first responders were there before the explosion, checking out what appeared to be a gas leak at this building. The old, what old building is that?
Is it the
John?
Liggett and Myers
building? The
building?
Liggett and Myers building in downtown Durham, across from the Durham School of the Arts, which we've heard from school officials there. No one was injured in that school, and kids are being sent home and trying to get home, and we're just so grateful that no kids were hurt today.
We're expecting an official news conference or a statement from city and county officials coming up in just a few minutes, and we will bring that to you live. In the meantime, Durham police tweeting out some information about intersections that are closed, and there are a bunch of them, so just avoid the area. But Duke at Main Street, Duke at Gregson, Duke at Peabody, Duke at Pettigrew, Duke at Chapel Hill Street, Chapel Hill at Gregson, Gregson at Peabody, Gregson at West Main, Gregson at Lamond, West Main at Fullard, and Fullard at West Morgan. So pretty much the whole downtown area there is going to see some disruption. If the street isn't closed, traffic is going to be very, very heavy and congested.
Yeah, they're asking you to stay away if at all possible. Our Tim Pulliam has been on the scene now, probably in the last hour, and he's spoken to various witnesses, and you've gotten another one, Tim.
Absolutely. I just spoke with a woman who works just a couple of doors down from this office building that got the impact of this, Church World Service, which is an immigration and refugee office. She told me that she was inside the building and she heard a shake. She heard an explosion that went off, and she was told that all of her employees were told to evacuate. It was about 20 of them. All of them are safe. But she says that this is it was a very frantic situation. She's actually sitting down.
Tim, we're going to cut in right now and listen to a city official.
It was caused an explosion and also a partial building collapse. At this time, we have 1 fatality confirmed. We also have 1 firefighter who was seriously injured. We have 15 individuals transported at this time. 4 went to Duke Regional, and 15 went to Duke Medical. We had students, or people rather, inside of Durham School of the Arts were repositioned. That school sits very near to the explosion. And basically I want individuals to avoid downtown at this time, if at all possible. This scene at North Duke and Morgan could be going on for quite a while. That's all I have at this time. Again, it's extremely preliminary. We hope to update you guys sometime in the very near future with more information.
Sorry if I missed it. What was housed in the building?
I don't have it for sure. It may have been a coffee facility, but I don't have it right now for sure, so I don't want to put it out there. All I can say is it's 115 Golden Street.
115. Do we know anything about the fatality? Is it a worker or a bystander?
I don't have that at this time.
And there's 15 that were transported.
It does not include fatality. At 1 fatality, 15 transported.
Does that include the firefighter?
It does include the firefighter.
Had the buildings been evacuated before the explosion?
They had not been evacuated before the explosion, to my knowledge.
Was that a Durham firefighter or
Durham firefighter. I do want to mention other resources coming to the scene will include Urban Search and Rescue, Raleigh Hazmat, and the State Emergency Management.
What contractor was it that was boring?
I don't have that at this time either. I'll try to get that for you.
So they were digging to get a pipe?
Basically, yes, they had a line. A 2-inch gas line laid.
And people transported today include only people who were part of that organization or construction company?
Yeah, I don't have that at this time. I'll have for the next briefing.
Can you confirm whether or not it was a Porsche museum?
I'm sorry?
A Porsche museum? That's what we're hearing.
I can't confirm that at this time. I'll get that for you.
Is there any information you can tell us about that firefighter?
Just right now, he's in serious condition at Duke ER, and I'm waiting to get additional information.
All right, guys, we'll get you more as soon as we can.
And can you repeat your name as well?
My name is Will Glenn. That's WILGLENN. I'm the Public Affairs Manager with Durham Police Department. So basically at 10:27 a.m., we had employees from Dominion Energy and also Durham Fire on the scene. At that time, a gas leak was caused by a contractor who was boring under the sidewalk. He hit a 2-inch gas line. An explosion occurred, which actually caused a partial building collapse. At this time, we have 1 fatality has been confirmed. We have 1 firefighter who was injured seriously. We had at least 2 Dominion Energy workers who were injured as well. We had 50 individuals transported. I mentioned 4 to Duke Regional, 11 to Duke Medical. Again, if we could have everybody avoid downtown for the near future.
What types of injuries you're looking at here?
I'm not going to relay right at this point. I'm not actually sure where they are at this point.
And for the deputy chief, can we get your name as well?
Chris Iannuzzi, IANNUZZI.
And you're with the Durham Fire
Department, correct.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was a live statement from Mr. Glenn of the Durham Police Department, Public Affairs Officer, confirming 1 fatality, 1 firefighter in serious condition, 15 transported to local hospitals.
He was saying that it happened about 10:27 a.m. A contractor on the scene, I couldn't make out exactly what he said the contractor was doing, but that boring
under
on
the sidewalk. Okay.
And so then the explosion happened, a partial building collapse, and you're seeing the live picture of that building that we're talking about. This is 115 North Duke Street where this occurred. Firefighters have been on the scene ever since, and first responders, and trying to get the flames out.
The smoke continues to billow there, but it is much better a situation than we saw just about 30 minutes ago. Firefighters continue to work on the hot spots here. Multiple downtown streets are closed after this blast, and Durham School of the Arts is being evacuated right now. No students were hurt, even though that school was very close to that location.
Again, we have heard from so many witnesses.
That's a school right there,
Okay,
Durham School of the
that is
Arts.
a school, and you can see the school buses that are taking those students home. The good news is that none of the students or staff inside the Durham School of the Arts have been injured, and they are trying to make a way for those students whose parents or guardian are not at home at the time. But you see those students, they're loading up on the buses and they're taking them home early out of an abundance of caution. But again, the good news there is no one injured at the school today.
We had an eyewitness tell us that she was at the intersection, I think Duke and Morgan Street, just before that blast occurred. She was in her car and she smelled heavy smoke. Not heavy smoke rather, but heavy gas, the heavy smell of gas. She saw an employee come out of the building and put a sign up saying that gas leak, the building is closed. And she said just moments after that, she heard this tremendous explosion that shook her car and just terrified her, of course. She saw at least one person there in front of the building just before that explosion happened.
We also talked to another witness that we're just about to show you and play you. His reaction after seeing it, said that he was there before the explosion, saw someone standing near the building, and then when the explosion happened, that man disappeared. Let's listen to this eyewitness. Oh, we don't have it yet. I'm sorry. Okay, we'll get. Do we have it now? No, we don't. Okay, so when we get that in and queued up and ready to play, we'll play it for you. Someone else that we talked to over the phone who was there right before it happened said the same thing, that was standing there, had an enormous, strong odor of gas, went through the traffic light, and then her rearview mirror, she heard and felt the explosion, and said she saw a man on the sidewalk disappear.
Spokesperson for Duke Hospital telling us that they are trying to take care of these people as best they can. Again, at least 15 people were transported to local hospitals, and one firefighter in serious condition, and one fatality with this.
All right, we have that eyewitness now. Let's hear from that person.
We were sitting right literally at the light in front of El Torreros. El Torreros was to our left. There was a fire truck to our right, and there was one in front of us. There was a firefighter had just went into El Torreros, and there was a worker standing in a white shirt, and then like two other firefighters there, and then like a white senior citizen bus. And you know, we were just like, man, they must have hit a gas line. And like literally as soon as I said that, it just exploded. The whole car shook. If we had been through the intersection, the windows would have been knocked out of the car.
Now, could you smell any smoke beforehand? Not smoke, gas, heavy gas.
Yeah, we could smell gas. You know, once we were like, oh, they must have hit a gas line, because you know, if they're doing construction in the fire departments, they're like, oh, maybe it's a gas leak or something like that. And then like not even a few seconds later, you just see fire explosion, and the people that were there, like they disappeared in front of our eyes.
And that was a statement from a witness who spoke to us over the telephone not too long ago. Just a terrifying situation for those on scene, and there were windows shattered at buildings nearby for blocks away from this. This all occurring around 10:27 this morning in the Brightleaf Square area, this area of tobacco warehouses that have been turned into retail shops and restaurants and condos.
And they've been asking so many people to avoid this area. As you see from this live picture from Chopper 11 HD, so many first responders on the scene. If you're just now tuning in, we heard from the Durham Police Public Information Officer. One person has been killed, one firefighter seriously injured, 15 people taken to area hospitals, Duke and I think Durham Regional Hospital. And again, that's just the preliminary information from city officials about this horrible scene.
On the phone with us now, Dan Pfeiffer, another eyewitness to this situation. And Dan, can you hear us? Tell us what you witnessed this morning.
I can hear you. So this morning I felt my building shake, and it was kind of shocking. I was like, okay, that's new. So I went downstairs to find out, and people didn't really know. I started walking out, and I followed the plume of smoke. And then when I got down towards Duke Street, I saw a few people with, cuts on their faces, and I knew it was serious. So the firemen were here, and now they're here, and you can just see the plumes of smoke. Now they're white, so it's under control. There's a lot of firemen on the scene, and they're trying to put it out. You can see that partial of the front and the back of the building are collapsed. And it's, a very harrowing scene, as you can imagine.
Dan, just how close are you to this situation?
I'm on North Garrison and Maverick, so I'm really close, actually. I'm right by Brightly Square, right in the corner.
We have reports of glass shattered in buildings nearby. Anything like that with your building?
Not my building, but the buildings around are definitely shattered. You can see them.
And did you feel and hear the explosion?
I did. I felt the explosion, and I was like not sure what that was. It kind of was like something crashed or blew up, and you could tell that that's what it was, but you weren't sure. And then when I asked people, everyone was kind of stunned. So you can see on the street that there's debris everywhere.
Yeah,
so you can see that there's a seafood restaurant there, and in front of the seafood restaurant, there's all debris on the street.
Wow, you can see the roof collapse there, just an amazing debris field as firefighters continue to try to work on this. Dan, so did you all evacuate? Was there order, chaos? What happened when the blast occurred?
So when I got close, I guess it was too new, because when I got closer, then, the school is right there, and people were trying to stay put, because it's a panic situation. So people were trying to stay put, and then I just kind of walked around to see if anybody needed any help.
Okay. Dan, thank you so much for sharing your story. Glad you're okay and the people in your business.
Thank you.
I know it was quite a scare. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Yes.
You too. Thank you. Again, more pictures now from Chopper 11 HD live over the scene. And boy, now that the flames appear to be out, if not almost out, and the smoke has just cleared, we can see the interior of that building, and you can see what looked like maybe the top of the building is gone.
Yeah.
And there was a partial collapse. And on the other screen, you see firefighters in the area working this intense scene.
The report from the authorities is that there is one fatality. We don't know if this was the construction worker or someone else, a firefighter. We don't know. One fatality, one firefighter seriously injured, and 15 taken to local hospitals with various degrees of injury. We had reports of people with bloody faces and what have you, and shattered glass all throughout the area. But again, the school nearby, Durham School of the Arts, was fine. Nobody hurt there. An orderly evacuation and recessional is going on right now at DSA.
And again, Durham police officials telling us that there has been one fatality, one firefighter that is seriously injured, and 15 people taken to area hospitals. We're still waiting on more information. PSNC is in the area to investigate if this was in fact a gas leak, but so many people that were in the area or working even just in the perimeter heard and felt the explosion. Happened about 10:27 this morning, according to officials, and just so many people praying for the people who are injured in this.
Let's go to ABC 11's Michael Perchik now, who is in the area talking with officials. Michael?
Yeah, we just spoke with officials a few minutes ago who gave us a rundown of what they know right now. Of course, it's a very fluid situation, but one person has died. There's also a Durham firefighter in serious condition. His name has not been released at this time. In total, 15 people taken to local hospitals. Really, the key message that Durham officials are trying to push out is to avoid downtown. There are detours all across the city, especially as people get closer to the Brightleaf Square area. So even if the road is not necessarily closed, there will be a lot of traffic being detoured to those roads. We're actually right across from the Bell West End Apartments, right near the old Durham Police Department headquarters. We saw young students out here from a school being evacuated, their parents coming to the scene. It was done all in a very orderly fashion. But we've seen various area departments out here. Raleigh Fire Department's been out here. We've seen the hazmat team, Durham County Sheriffs, Durham Police, a huge law enforcement presence all around this area, and at least for the next couple of miles. So if you can avoid being downtown, Durham authorities are urging you to do so. Again, at this point, one person has died, a Durham firefighter taken to the hospital. He is in serious condition. In total, 15 people taken to local hospitals. We are expected to learn more throughout the day, but again, this is a very fluid situation. Make sure to follow us both on air and online. We'll be tweeting updates once we learn more.
Durham, thank you.
I know that Michael said that 15 people have been taken to area hospitals. We have heard from Duke University Medical Center, and they're telling us they're currently in the process of responding to those incoming patients, have no specific information to share at this point. Their focus, as we all know, is caring for those who have come to the ER, and as soon as they have specific information to share, they will do so. But again, one fatality, one firefighter seriously injured, and 15 people taken to the hospital.
And this word from Durham Public Schools, they have an update on that situation for the Durham School of the Arts. They have changed their pickup location for car riders, for those students who rode in on cars. They may now be picked up by families at Northgate Mall in the Sears parking lot. DSA staff is assisting.
Okay, now we have been saying since we've been on the air covering this that it's the old Liggett and Myers building. We're finding out that that is not the case. So again, we've been saying that all morning. That was incorrect information. That is not the old Liggett and Myers building. It is currently the Prescient Corporation building, which has headquarters in Duke, also manufacturing, headquarters in Durham. And they have manufacturing in Durham and also in Colorado. So apologize for that. We are trying to be as judicious as we can with the information that is coming in, because in situations like this, as you know, there's so much information that we get, so many eyewitnesses, so many people on social media. We're trying to be as careful as we possibly can.
The official address is 115 North Duke Street, Duke and Morgan Street. Let's show you some video taken earlier of the situation as we switch from these live pictures to a very chaotic situation about an hour ago from this scene. You see it on the right there, the flames raging after an apparent 2-inch gas line was ruptured by a contractor who was digging underground. Huge flames erupted, smoke, thick black smoke filled the air. With the sky so clear and blue, you could see the smoke and flames for miles. People in Durham wondering what in the world was going on downtown. It was a gas leak and explosion and building collapse. We saw a couple of people taken away on stretchers. We're going to blur out this video here. This was one person who was taken away, and we don't know well, obviously that person had very serious injuries. We know of one fatality in this situation, and more than a dozen others taken to hospitals.
Yeah, we have crews above in the air, as you see here, from Chopper 11 HD, as well as on the ground, talking to witnesses. We've been talking to them on the phone, and it looks like there's somebody there that they're also helping. So many people just stunned, watching this, hearing it and feeling it. Tim Pulliam has been on the ground talking to people who have witnessed this. Tim, what do you know now?
Walking from the park, headed this direction, and she saw the explosion, and she mentioned that she saw a woman screaming, yelling, saying that he's injured, And so this woman tells me that she believes that that is the person that was fatal, that has been confirmed fatal. But she says that the woman was very hysterical, and it's just been a very sad situation out here to see all of this. You can see that firefighters are still pouring water onto this building. Duke Street here in Brightly Square is still shut down, as you can see, and will be shut down for several more hours. We still have some onlookers here. We still have some workers who work in this area. They're sitting down, just watching all of this unfold. I spoke to one woman who works at Church World Service, that is an immigration and refugee office. They are stationed about 2 doors down from where this building was impacted. And she says that she was sitting in her office when she heard the explosion. It rattled her. And then she was told that to get out, to evacuate. There's about 20 people inside of her office. And she says that they are all accounted for. They're just sitting here, some of them along the sidewalk, waiting to get back to their cars because a lot of this area is taped off. We do know that there are multiple people, as you have mentioned, John and Barbara, that are in the hospital now being treated. But just a sad situation out here now, knowing that at least one person has died from all of this. Again, you can see firefighters working this scene here. There are multiple agencies here. I spoke to a Raleigh firefighter who's helping out with the hazmat situation here. He didn't have a whole lot of details because he had just gotten on scene, but best believe I was pressing him to find out if there was anything that he could share with me. But yeah, it's just a lot of people are just shocked. This is an organized scene. It does not feel chaotic, but knowing that someone has died is definitely making it a lot more sadder than it is at this point, especially with that eyewitness that tells me that she heard that woman shrieking and screaming over someone who was injured. Barbara, John.
Tim, I know. It's got to be so traumatic for so many people that we've talked to, you've talked to, who witnessed it, heard it, and saw it. And it just, as you can see from these live pictures now from Chopper 11 HD, it just, what a massive explosion. And authorities say this is going to be a long time getting over. So if you have any business or work downtown Durham, you're going to have a difficult time getting there. And a lot of these things have been canceled anyway. Streets are blocked off. There have been some evacuations of nearby locations. This is going to be a situation that will last for hours in downtown. And Durham School of the Arts students have been sent home. We saw a convoy of school buses taking those kids home. Tim was saying earlier that, or well, just a minute ago, that it's organized right now, but people who were there when it happened say it was anything but. Just, it was a chaos, people screaming and running away from the scene and running toward it as well. Let's put up a Google map to show you precisely where this is. 115 North Duke Street at the corner of Duke and Morgan Street. The map will zoom in there and show you precisely what we're talking about here. This is the warehouse district where tobacco warehouses have been renovated and changed, an up-and-coming area. Now this disaster that's taking place. Yes, right near such a busy area where people live and work. It is that label there, the Prescient Corporation Executive Offices. That is the building where this has happened. You see just how close it is to the Durham School of the Arts. Fortunately, blessedly, no students were injured or hurt there, and they are sending those kids home in the school buses. And if they were car riders, they're now having a staging location at Northgate Mall, the old Sears location, where if you're a parent and your child goes to that school, you can pick up your child now at that school, at that location. But again, one person has been killed, one firefighter seriously hurt, 15 people taken to the hospital, and we're waiting for more information from Durham County officials, or Durham police officials and city officials on what exactly happened here this morning. Very little smoke right now compared to what it was. The flames were well into the sky after this happened. I'm not sure if they were doing some construction work or work on the building, work on the street outside, but that's what happened about 10:27 this morning when the blast occurred. Eyewitness News staying on this breaking news right now. Eyewitness News at noon coming up in just a few seconds. We are going to give you the latest on what has been happening this morning in the downtown Durham area and the latest from city officials as well. Eyewitness at noon is next.
See what's happening this instant. From the Raleigh Eyewitness News Center, ABC 11 Eyewitness News at noon starts right now.
A gas explosion at 115 North Duke Street in Durham. This occurring around 10:27 this morning. At least one person was killed, one firefighter seriously hurt, 15 people taken to local hospitals, a number of buildings suffering damage as a result.
We are seeing live pictures now from Chopper 11 HD. We also have our crews, numerous crews on the ground showing people who have been taken away from the scene, first responders who are running into the building, and people just stunned watching what has happened this morning.
You see thick smoke coming out of the wreckage of that building. Earlier there was black smoke coming out and flames reaching high into the sky. We had a witness tell us that she saw one person standing in front of the building. They put a sign out saying that the building was being closed because of a gas leak. Shortly after that, she heard a tremendous blast and that person disappeared, she said.
Eyewitness after eyewitness telling us here at ABC 11 that they heard what some even said it sounded like a bomb went off, major explosion. People who work and live in the area feeling their buildings shaking and hearing these loud booms, not knowing what happened right across the street from the Durham School of the Arts. Thankfully, no one in the school was hurt. As a matter of fact, school officials are in the process of getting those students home early.
This is Eyewitness News at noon. We have a team of reporters on the ground. Chopper 11 HD is in the air. We're also going to get some eyewitness testimony from what happened. Some of these stories very, very dramatic, as you might imagine. Also, we're getting the latest updates from city and county officials as to the extent of the injuries after this building collapse and explosion.
Happened about 10:27 this morning. We're hearing from officials, PSNC Energy on the scene to let us know for sure if this was a gas leak. We heard so many eyewitnesses in the area saying they smelled like an intense odor of gasoline before the explosion.
Natural gas.
Natural gas. And we heard from other eyewitnesses that they were firefighters in the area trying to investigate and let people know in businesses and certain shops around the area that they were investigating that possibility. And then the explosion happened. We're now trying to find out about the extent of the injuries. We know one person has died. A firefighter seriously injured, 15 people taken to area hospitals. Officials at Duke saying that they are treating people right now in the emergency room and will give updates as soon as they can.
The Durham School of the Arts is right next to this location. Fortunately, there were no students hurt there, but an evacuation, the students are being let go early. Ed Crump is at the Durham School of the Arts, and he brings us an update from there. Ed?
Well, John, I believe looking at all these people who are leaving the school now, mostly teachers, it appears, some young people with them. So I believe at this point, the school is nearly empty. A lot of the students, as you mentioned earlier, were bused over to Northgate, where they're meeting their parents there. And a lot of parents, but some parents did come here. I want to show you how close we are to the scene here at the school. Look right down the street here, right in the next block. You see all the smoke and all the lights and all. That's how close this was. So there was one parent we talked to this morning who works nearby here. She felt and heard the whole thing, so you could imagine how concerned she was knowing her kids were right down the street. Here's what she had to say. Okay, well, we're obviously having some technical difficulties there, but again, you can see all these cars now flooding out of the school. We believe many of these people are teachers that we saw coming out here in the last little bit, certainly most of them older than students. But again, most of the students are now gone, either taken by bus to Northgate where they're meeting their parents, or other parents came here and picked them up. We can hear from that woman now who had that real scare because she works close by. Take a listen.
I work in the Durham Center, and it was about a little bit after 10, and we heard just like a loud explosion that shook our building, and then we saw the smoke. So, and then right after that, we started texting our kids at DSA, and they were on lockdown for a while, and then they went ahead and released them.
Was that one of the first thoughts you had about the kids?
Well, yes, when I realized where it was, because it was hard to kind of see at first where the explosion was, but then it was, yeah.
So what went through your mind then immediately when you realized where it was?
You know, fear and just afraid, but was able to get a hold of them pretty quickly, and my coworker also has kids there, and she was able to get a hold of her kids, so we knew they were okay.
Everything work out orderly here? Are you happy with everything?
Yeah, it was pretty good. So.
All's well that ends well here. You must be concerned about over there.
Yes, and we haven't really heard very much, so we don't know about injuries or anything like that. So hopefully everybody will be okay.
Great. Lori, thank you so much. Yes, we do hope everyone is going to be okay down there, but it looks like there could be some serious problems there. Certainly from some of the video we saw earlier, John and Barbara, firefighters dragging what appeared to be someone possibly on the ground away from that building. There might be some pretty serious injuries, but we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed. As you all mentioned, it looks like they've got everything pretty well knocked down at this point, and it's not clear when they're going to be able to get in there. But again, here at the Durham School of the Arts, evacuation is virtually over here. No one here was injured. The building doesn't even appear to be damaged in any way, although we've certainly seen that buildings in that block down there where the explosion happened, adjacent buildings were damaged there. A lot of windows blown out. We talked to a man who took some pictures earlier, and he told us that many of the windows in the buildings surrounding that block are blown out and a lot of damage to adjacent buildings. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed, John and Barbara, that everybody down there is okay. Everybody here at the Durham School of Arts certainly is.
That is good news. Ed Crump, thank you for that report. We appreciate our crews on the ground, and we can see from all those pictures from Chopper 11 HD what Ed was talking about, the debris field, the blown out windows and neighboring buildings, and just how shocking and traumatic it had to have been for people who were in the area, who heard it and saw it and just witnessed some of the people who were immediately affected by the explosion.
As you watch these firefighters continue to spray on the hot spots there, we can tell you that Raleigh Fire Department officials are already there. They have their hazmat team in Durham helping. Also, their urban search and rescue team is being deployed as well. Tim Pulliam was one of our first reporters on the scene, and he joins us live now to give us an update from his perspective. Tim, tell us what's going on.
You know, John, Barbara, you guys talk about what people saw and heard, but also it's a lot about what they felt. So many people work very close to where this fire and explosion happened. You can see from my vantage point, the Durham School of the Arts there with that peak, and then you see the firefighters pouring water on that building that partially collapsed. It was a chaotic scene earlier when all of this happened, but it's a much more controlled situation at this point. Firefighters are still making their way here to the area to assess the damage and to put this fire out. But so many people were working in this area and felt the explosion. We are here stationed by the Duke Memorial Church, and there was a daycare center here at this church that was open at the time of this explosion. It has since evacuated. On top of the church, there were construction workers, and they felt the boom. I spoke to one of them. Listen to their reaction. Let me just bring you in, Mr. Hendrick. Tell me what you heard and what you saw.
Well, we were up on the roof, you know, popping our lines and everything, and out of nowhere we hear this loud boom and felt an aftershock. You know, the whole roof system shook, and you know, I immediately looked over this way, and you know, pretty much all you see is just a cloud of smoke go up, and then you see the building just slowly crumble down and people scattering out of there and everything.
What was going through your mind when you saw that?
Honestly, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that, so I mean, my first instinct was like 9/11, and then, you know, all I could think about is, you know, just my wife and my kids.
Right. There was several of you on the roof. How many? Because you guys have been working all morning.
Yeah, there were about four of us over here, about 5 or 6 on the other side. We all felt the aftershock from it.
Unbelievable. We're still waiting to find out how many people were injured from this incident. Your thoughts to them right now?
Man, I pray, you know, not too many people got hurt too bad, and you know, a lot of prayers go out to the families of anybody injured, really.
Absolutely. Mr. Hendrick, thank you so much. I imagine work is suspended for the rest of the day. Have you got the call yet?
Right now we're on standby just to see if the smoke's going to clear out and if we're going to be able to get back up there. But there's a good chance it might be called for the day.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks, so much. Yeah, and work is closed for the day. Those construction workers pretty much have gone home for the day, as well as many of the people who evacuated. There are still some just sitting around here. They are actually waiting to get back to their cars that were parked in the area. Just taking you back out here live, water is still pouring on this building. Several emergency officials are out here. It's just so unfortunate that there is one fatality and several injured. That is the very latest out here from my vantage point. We'll come back in the later newscast. But for now, we are live here in Durham. Tim Pulliam, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Tim. This occurring at 115 North Duke Street, the Prescient building. It's next to Torero's Restaurant, if you're familiar. That's a very popular Mexican restaurant in the Brightleaf area.
Right, and across from the Durham School of the Arts. Thankfully, no one at the school hurt in this explosion, and they're on their way home. Our Michael Perchik has been in the area where the police have set up a staging area. We heard from a public information officer not too long ago that let us know one person killed, a firefighter seriously injured, and 15 taken to the hospital. Michael, have they told us any more information since that last update?
You know, it's still a very fluid situation. They're working to confirm more information. We'll certainly pass that along once we get it here. As Ed mentioned just a few moments ago, Northgate has been used for parents to pick up students who had to be evacuated due to this ongoing situation. We're actually here at the old Durham Police Department headquarters. This area was used as a staging area for various law enforcement agencies. We see the Durham County Sheriff's Office, Durham Police, and then a block over is where we see the hazmat team, Raleigh Fire, Durham Fire. Over the past few minutes, we've learned that the Orange County Sheriff's Office has been called in to assist. So this is a wide-scale operation with multiple departments all teaming up to try and keep this area safe. So we're right off of South Duke and Jackson Street. That's near the BB&T building. And that is one of the areas that's right now rerouting traffic. We have seen some delays in this area. So as we said before, and as Will Glenn with the Durham Police Department noted during our press conference that we did stream live, if you can avoid coming to downtown Durham, please do so. These roads need to remain open for emergency personnel. Try to avoid coming anywhere near the Brightleaf Square area or really anywhere within a couple miles of it. Right now, as you see, this is the police tape that we have in several parking lots in the area. Behind me, the Bell West End apartments still open, but all up and down West Chapel Hill Street, we do see a lot of emergency personnel lining up so they can make their way towards the middle of that scene. So as you mentioned, one person dead, a Durham firefighter in serious condition, 15 people in total taken to the hospitals. We are working to learn more information, but it's such a fluid situation right now. We don't know exactly when that new information will come in, but we'll share with you once authorities have figured that out.
Thank you, Michael Perchik, on the ground for us in downtown Durham.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you'll hear more from the eyewitnesses who were there at the time of this blast around 10:30 this morning as you look at these live pictures from Chopper 11 HD. You're watching Eyewitness News.
They are rolling on it whenever I'm in front of the camera. But I just want to pull up your... Ooh. Thank you. 3%. Yeah. We know that the gas leak came from a coffee shop. One Durham firefighter has serious injuries. 4 people were taken to Duke University Hospital. 11 people 15 people taken to area hospitals here. A Durham firefighter has serious injuries. No. Gas leak came from a coffee shop. Live in Durham, Tim Pulliam, ABC 7, in Durham, Tim Pulliam, Channel 7, Eyewitness News. Channel 7, Eyewitness News. We know that. Oh, yeah. We know that one person is dead, one firefighter.
This is for network. Have you stand this way so I have sun. I don't need you catty that way.
We know that one person is dead and one firefighter is injured from this gas leak explosion. Several businesses here have shut down and evacuated. You can see that it is a very active scene here with fire crews still pouring water on this building.
All right, hang on.
The officials, one person has been killed, one firefighter seriously injured, and 15 people taken to the hospital.
We have a team of reporters on the scene bringing you up to date on this. Our Tim Pulliam spoke with an eyewitness named Donna Hester, and she gave us a very stunning story.
Donna Hester, can you tell me what you heard and what you saw? Where were you?
I was in the bathroom at the bus terminal, and we just heard a loud explosion, like boom. So everybody in the bathroom was like, what is that? So we ran out of the bathroom, and then everybody in the bus terminal was saying, what is that? So we went outside, and the police officers, we could see them running, and on their radios they were saying that it was a gas explosion for us to get back inside the building. So we all went back inside the building and went upstairs to look out the window, and we could see smoke and people running. I guess they were coming this way, and then some people were running the other way. But,
what is your reaction to all of this?
I've been doing a lot of praying because I've seen so many ambulances and stuff going down there. This looks bad. Yeah. This really looks bad. They said that I guess one building has been leveled. Yeah.
We're told that there has been a collapse at
yes,
one of the buildings.
Yes.
The Prescient building was the one impacted the most?
Well, I don't know which building it is.
Yeah, over here in this area.
I don't know which building it is. But I just hope everybody's okay.
Thank you so much, Don.
Thank you.
And that is an eyewitness there speaking to our Tim Pulliam on the scene. She was saying she didn't know which building it is. We can tell you that Durham City officials confirming the address as 115 North Duke Street. That is the address for the coffee shop called Caffeinate. It is a very popular place in Durham, and honestly, at the hour when this would have occurred, it would have been pretty populated. A very popular place in the morning, a beautiful day that we're seeing on this April afternoon. Just really stunning thing to happen in downtown Durham. We have been monitoring the social media all morning long using the hashtag Durham Explosion. You can hashtag ABC11, hashtag Durham Fire. This is a big one now that is really being shared across the nation. Prayers for Durham as we are hearing this news this morning of what has happened, where this is now a fatal explosion. At least one person confirmed dead, one firefighter seriously injured, 15 people taken to the hospital. Those are the early reports. You can see that thick smoke that was there just billowing over the building and downtown Durham on a clear day like this. Also, just you can see it for miles. So social media, a lot of people started taking to social media, sharing their pictures and wondering what was going on. We are getting a clearer view at this hour of how this is unfolding. But this was the view from the Brick Courtyard at Brightleaf Square, just across from Morgan Imports in downtown Durham, and just the thick smoke there. You can see the flames here over the Prescient building. Gas explosion near Brightleaf and Durham. Duke up folks are safe, but shaken up. We're not sure of the details yet. You know, John and Barbara, during these sort of events, everyone gets on social media, and one of the things that you start to hear is we're okay. I mean, this is how they start to get the word out to their family and their friends that they are okay, but they are also wondering what's going on. So it's very important to get your information out there, and of course we are verifying all of this information with city officials and police as we get it on the air to you, not just taking what we see off of social media, although there is a lot. This is from our coverage, ABC 11, hashtag Durham Explosion, hashtag Bull City. And then, you know, a lot of people just saying like things like this, crazy scene downtown. This is just not something you see every day. And this is what we're talking about, just those clear skies. When it is this clear and you have such, 10-mile visibility on a day like this, you can see this for miles, that smoke. So you can imagine what this was like for so many people driving down the Durham Freeway or even on I-40 and saying, what is going on over there? Look at this smoke. And then this is a video someone took from pretty high up. I really hope everybody's okay. Happened right outside the office, hashtag Durham Explosion. This was right as it was unfolding. Firefighters are there trying to extinguish that scene. So just quite a morning here with this breaking news. A lot of smoke pictures over the city of Medicine. And this is a good clear picture of the building collapse. So much debris. And, John and Barbara, as we heard one person say, it felt like 9/11. I mean, that's the way that they would explain it as they see this, hearing that and then just seeing the smoke and the sirens and just wondering what's going on. But now we know that it was, in fact, a gas explosion. Officials telling us that there was a contractor boring under the sidewalk that started this, but a very sad day for the city of Medicine. This is going to be something we're going to be following for months, John, Barbara.
Amber, thank you so much. And yes, our Jonah Kaplan reporting that the contractor hired at Cafanet dialed 811 before conducting the work there. That's the number to call to report gas lines. And Jonah says the contractor had proper permits. There will be an investigation going on to see exactly what happened here, but very ugly situation this morning.
That's right. And you know that Amber was saying it's Caffeinate, also the Prescient building where this happened. Want to show you, give you a better idea from our Google map here, exactly where this explosion happened. Again, the address from authorities, 115 North Duke Street. This is for a look from Google Earth. And if we zoom in there, the map into downtown Durham, you'll see where the explosion happened. Again, 115 North Duke Street. And here on the map, you can see the Prescient headquarters along Duke Street. It was destroyed in that explosion, and you can see across the street the Durham School of the Arts, very close, which was evacuated. Thankfully, no one hurt. The students are already being taken home. And see how close the explosion was also to Brightleaf Square, where so many people work and live and shop and eat and hang out, and so many people in the area, as Amber was saying, just floored by what they heard and what they saw, and putting it on social media. Some people saying, yes, it sounded like a bomb went off, didn't know what happened, and praying now for the people who have been injured. 15 taken to area hospitals, one firefighter seriously hurt, and one person sadly has been killed in this explosion.
This is Chopper 11 video from earlier this morning, and you see just how thick that smoke was. You see people being evacuated from the area, a huge debris field. Intersections remain closed in the area until further notice. Those intersections include Duke at Main and Gregson and Peabody and Pettigrew and Chapel Hill Street. Also Chapel Hill at Gregson, Gregson at Peabody, West Main and Lamond, and West Main at Fullard, and Fullard at Morgan. Much of the downtown area of Durham is blocked off as a result of what's happened.
We're in touch with city officials in both Raleigh and Durham, and we have crews on the ground. We're going to continue to cover this breaking news. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. You're watching Eyewitness News.
Still live, though.
You said it's 7411?
My email?
No, your passcode.
Oh, it's 7084. still green. I keep moving my hair to cover what about you keep the ball back. That time of the year, man. Look, I can stay the video. Actually, I got a hat in the car. Pollen will be good. Pollen will be gone in a week. Yeah, then that's when you off on and all that stuff. I forget about it. You like me don't shower when you come around. Oh, is that it? No. Nobody can come around. Nothing bothers you.
¿Qué tal amigos de Univisión 40? Mi nombre es Berenice Malagón. Vamos a esperar que unas personas más se conecten. Tenemos todos los avances de la explosión que ocurrió esta mañana.
And look at mine, look.
Aquí con mi compañero Daniel López Sánchez.
Claro que sí, un saludo muy especial, como dice mi compañero.
Watch this.
Cobertura del equipo. Estamos desde esta mañana precisamente con la explosión que ocurrió en las horas de la mañana.
Here's your microphone,
En el centro de Durham.
En el centro de Durham hemos tenido la oportunidad de hablar con algunos testigos que nos han contado qué fue lo que sucedió, cómo experimentaron este hecho tan aterrador para algunos, tal cual ha sido descrito.
Claro que sí, hemos tratado de hablar con algunas personas que estuvieron precisamente en el momento de la explosión. También estuvimos hablando con algunas autoridades que han tratado de dar información de lo que ha pasado. A medida que va pasando la tarde, a medida que va pasando el miércoles, se va conociendo más qué fue lo que ocurrió y cuántas personas heridas y hay personas muertas en el momento.
Sí, exactamente. Pues hasta el momento las autoridades reportan a una persona fallecida y a 15 hasta el momento. Esperemos que la cifra no suba. Algunos trabajadores de la construcción que platicaron con nosotros nos dijeron que la explosión fue muy fuerte, que se cimbraron las paredes, los vidrios y que bueno, debido a esta situación tuvieron que abandonar su trabajo el día de hoy.
Claro que sí, también quisimos preguntar un poco, Berenice, acerca de cómo es el sector donde ocurrió la explosión. Nos dicen muchas personas que habían o hay muchos restaurantes y que precisamente donde ocurrió la explosión cerca hay un restaurante mexicano. Por eso es la preocupación porque posiblemente muchos de esos restaurantes estuvieron utilizando gas. Posiblemente pudo haber sido el detonante de la explosión.
Exactamente, también algunas personas pues
Do you have
fueron
his phone?
sacadas de sus edificios.
You want me to run down there and get him?
No, I can see.
Are you sure?
Cerca de aquí hay una escuela, afortunadamente ya hasta el momento no se reportan
Brian.
en esa escuela, pero bueno, les damos
Brian.
todo el informe.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? That's all you get.
That's all I get. That's all I get.
I'm a member there.
Right. Can we chat with you? Can we chat? Okay.
You got to tell us.
We are currently in the process of responding to incoming patients. We have no specific information to share at this point. Our focus at this point is caring for those who have come to our ER. As soon as we have specific info, we will share that with you. And the same goes with us here at ABC 11. Our team of reporters is continuing to gather information. We will have another update from our reporters on the scene right after this break.
Okay, we also know
to this day?
En nuestro contenido digital y también en nuestro noticiero para que nos acompañen y por supuesto descarguen su aplicación de Univision 40 para estar al tanto de todo lo que sucede alrededor de nuestro estado.
I know Max. I know Max Dallas. So I don't know if Max Dallas's family, but that he went to school with me, Max Dallas. Maximilian.
We got so much stuff. What are we gonna do for 4, 5, and 6?
4, 5. Okay. How much time?
What?
Yeah. Do you have time for more sound? Okay. I know.
Yes, sir.
No, I didn't talk to either of them. I spoke with a woman who witnessed someone on the sidewalk needing attention, and I asked Justine to save that. Okay. Okay. Would you like sound? Because I can call them if you want. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have a live interview. What am I talking about? I have a live interview. I have a live interview. Excuse me. What am I thinking about? Yeah, I have a live interview. Okay. Live picture. Yeah, she works at this church here. Okay, will do.
Apparently struck a natural gas line, causing that leak this morning.
4 people were taken to Duke University Medical Center. 11 people were taken to Duke Regional Hospital. That's on North Roxborough Street. And we are waiting to hear more from authorities.
The Durham School of the Arts is nearby this location, and that prompted a lot of concern, as you might imagine. Fortunately, those students were safe. Ed Crump is live on scene at DSA to bring us up to date. Ed?
Hello, John and Barbara. I'm going to show you just how close the school is. You're looking at the scene right now, just less than a block away from us, about a half a block away from us. And if you turn back here, I'm going to ask photographer Aaron Aslan to take a turn around so you can see how close the Durham School of the Arts is here. So there was obviously a lot of concern on behalf of parents and others. One parent that we talked to works in downtown, real close to where the explosion was. She said she was immediately concerned about her children and quickly called down here or got in touch with her kids, and another coworker did too, and they found out they were all fine. There's no damage at all this building. Everyone's gone now, or virtually everyone is gone from the school. Many of the kids were bused over to Northgate to meet their parents there. Some parents, as I said, came here. That one woman who works in downtown came over and walked her kids out of here. As you can see, we have all this going on down here right now. We also talked to an eyewitness who works right across the street. He was shocked because he said he felt the windows rattle, he felt the shock and the rumble and heard all of that. And when he looked outside, he immediately saw firefighters, which surprised him. But also indicates to him and most of us covering this that there must have been some sort of a report of a gas leak, because he said people were coming in to his office, arriving on the scene saying, oh, it smells like natural gas outside. So obviously somebody had, or it appears somebody had reported that, and that firefighters were already on the scene, hence the injury to one of them. But everybody who's been here has had their fingers crossed, hoping that what we know about what's happened there as far as the death and one injury remains that way, and there's not any more to be found. But we were curious because we saw all these people massing down here. It's kind of hard to see, but just if Aaron, I don't know if you can come out here at all. Aaron's stuck over here in a crowd. I'm going to have him move out. You can see all these people down there where there's like a tent, like a tailgate tent down there, and there's all those people gathered. So we were curious about that, what all that was, and about the time I was wondering why all these people are arriving, Durham's police chief walked by, and I grabbed her real quick. She said she only had a minute to talk, but here's what she told us about her presence here and what's going on right down the street. You feel it was important for you to be here personally? Or?
Oh, absolutely. This is impacting the entire city, so absolutely, yes.
Last quick question before you go to the news conference. All of these people have gathered here recently. Are they staging in order to go in and help search at some point, or what's going on?
Actually, they're staging here right now so that we can make sure that the area is safe and that the buildings can be cleared by some of our fire personnel.
So I don't know how well you could hear that. It sounded pretty rough on our end, but the chief was saying is that all people are gathered to try to survey the area. Obviously, firefighters, nobody can get in that building really well right now, short of maybe firefighters, but certainly not any police or other personnel are going to go into that building. He was saying that they're checking all the surrounding buildings and trying to make sure everything's covered and taken care of down here. And so they're trying to make sure that there's no problems here. And she was, again, as you heard her say, John and Barbara, this is affecting the whole city. She felt like she had to be here.
Ed Crump at Durham School of the Arts, just down the block from where the gas leak and explosion took place. Thank you, Ed.
So many people affected, as Ed was saying, not just the city of Durham, but Raleigh also helping as well. Even the governor tweeting not too long ago that he's also monitoring the situation as well. Steve Daniels is in the Breaking News Center now with some more video from the scene. Steve?
John and Barbara, I think the most important thing to underscore right now for our viewers, especially people just joining us, is there is no danger in downtown Durham right now. That natural gas has been shut off, so no risk of any further explosions. We did have a breaking news crew arriving there on the scene in Brightleaf Square on North Duke Street just moments after this happened. Take a look at what happened and what our breaking news crew saw there as first responders arrived on the scene. This is some first video from Chopper 11 HD. We also got the chopper in the air immediately, and what's so striking about these images is the degree of the damage there. All of that material, that debris, those bricks, that all went flying out of this building, and that's why we saw people injured. We're going to get here in a moment to our breaking news crew video, and you can actually see the debris in the streets. And I want you to take a look at that with me, and you can see actually how that debris is scattered. When we're able to pull up that video, I'll talk you through that, and we can talk precisely about our observations about that video. Here it is right now. This is first responders taking one of the badly injured people away from there. That is one of the people who was taken to the hospital. We understand that person did survive, but we're obviously blurring out that person's image. But what we want to do is help you understand the urgency of this situation. This is what it looked like there from the ground, from our breaking news crew, right there in this moments after this happened. And you can see here a number of people injured. And it's just amazing to see all the bricks that are scattered across the street. You can imagine people who were there in Brightleaf Square on North Duke Street, just a block, half a block really, north of Main Street. Many of these people were hit by flying debris when this building exploded, triggered by this natural gas explosion. Just a horribly frightening scene for these people as building materials and bricks and this debris was literally flying through the air. So that is the scene as we saw it from our breaking news crew as they were arriving just moments later. I want to fill in some information we have from our I-team. Immediately when something like this happens, our investigative journalists here at Eyewitness News jump into action and start asking some key questions. What Jonah Kaplan has pieced together on our I-team is that the proper procedures were followed here as far as the information we have right now, that the contractor who hit that 2-inch natural gas line shortly after 10 a.m. this morning did have the proper permits, called 811. 811 then transferred that information to PSNC. to mark the utilities there. Obviously, something went wrong. It's not clear if the contractor hit the gas line because it wasn't properly marked or if the markings were there. That is still remains to be seen. But at this point, it appears that the proper procedures were followed in trying to execute this construction project when this contractor hit this natural gas line. This is a building. We've pieced together the history on it. It was built in 1920. It historically was called the Studebaker building. It was a car dealership and then an auto parts store, and now is part of the revival in the Brightleaf Square section of Durham. That's what's coming into the Breaking News Center. We'll have more as we get it here. John and Barbara.
All right. Steve, thank you.
And again, we're reporting 1 person dead, 1 firefighter in serious condition, 15 others taken to the hospital as a result. No students injured at Durham School of the Arts, which was nearby. We continue our coverage now. There are a number of eyewitnesses to what happened. This is a very busy area in downtown Durham, and we're going to hear from one right now, see what happened. Let's go to Tim Pulliam, who was on the scene. Tim?
Hi, John. Yeah, I just want to show you very quickly that there is no more smoke over here, and it looks like firefighters have stopped pouring water on this building, but you can see this big gaping hole now where this business once stood here off of Duke Street, and you can see the Durham School of the Arts in the backdrop. This is the first time that we're getting a very clearer picture of the school. Before, it was just very, very smoky. Now, I'm joined by Melanie. She works for Church World Service, which is an immigration and refugee office just 2 doors down from where this building was impacted. But you were not there. You were here at this school, church daycare center. What were you doing here, and what did you hear, and what did you see?
So I'm the English teacher. So I was teaching English to a group of refugees, our normal beginning class. So, and around 10 o'clock, there was a big boom. Shook the whole building, didn't quite know what happened. The lights went off just momentarily. So we decided to evacuate simply because we didn't know what was going on. We came out here and we could look back and we could see the smoke starting, and the flames were pretty tremendous. So we ended up going back inside. I tried to get everybody back inside before deciding to, better off for everybody to go home and leave the scene so that emergency crews could get in.
John, Barbara, they were in the basement. How many students were you teaching at the time?
We probably had about 20 students and their children. We also have a daycare that runs with class.
Can you just describe the emotion that was going on in that moment?
You know, honestly, I was surprised. Everybody was pretty calm. These people have been through an awful lot in their lives, so I think things like this roll on off their backs maybe a little bit better than they rolled off of mine. I was a little bit panicked, but I like to think I hit it well. But they evacuated very calmly. They were happy to go home when we told them to. They wanted to see what was going on, and they were happy to hear it was not a bomb. We found out pretty quickly that it was a gas explosion, that they had been working on a leak. So we were able to explain to them that it wasn't something violent that way.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And all of your employees, about 20 or so, are accounted for, correct?
Absolutely, yes, we're all fine.
Excellent, excellent. You know, John, Barbara, we have just been talking to several people who were in and around this area when this happened, and the stories have just been so incredible. We'll give you more in our later newscast. But for now, we're live in Durham. Tim Pulliam, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
All right, Tim, thank you so much. Also, we're expecting another police briefing around 2 o'clock, and we will bring that to you when it comes.
All right, more breaking news coverage of the explosion in downtown Durham right after this.
now, but around 10:30 this morning, there was a natural gas leak and an explosion. At least one person was killed.
All right, meteorologist Brittany Bell is here to talk to us about the explosion actually as it was seen on radar. Brittany?
Yeah, you know, radar can pick up more than just rainfall, and especially like a clear day like this. So it was able to easily pick up that smoke from that explosion, and that's seen by that green color and the yellow and the reds. That's not heavy rainfall. That's the thickness of that smoke, and that's just to the south of I-85. It's also traveling to the southern sections of Durham County as well. So if you have any issues with asthma or anything like that, just pay attention, especially if you live near Chapel Hill, southern sections of Orange County. That's the direction that that smoke is going due to our northwesterly flow, northeasterly winds pushing those temperatures down. So overall, if you do live in southern sections of Durham County and Orange County, just watch out for that. But radar was once again able to pick up that smoke shown by the green because those particles were so thick and we had clear conditions, and that smoke continues to travel off to the southwest throughout the remainder of the afternoon. John, Barbara.
Brittany, thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Let's go to Michael Perchik now. He is at the Durham Police Staging Headquarters now. Do you have any new information on perhaps injuries here, Michael?
John, as you mentioned just a few moments ago, we are expected to learn more during a 2 o'clock briefing. We've seen Durham City Council members Charlie Reese and Vernetta Olson make their way down here. We've seen Durham Police, Durham County Sheriff's Office, and the block behind me, we're at the old Durham Police Headquarters. The block behind me is West Chapel Hill, and that's where we've seen a lot of different emergency personnel lining up. We've seen the hazmat team, we've seen Raleigh Fire, Durham Police. As we mentioned during our last of the Orange County Sheriff's Office has been called in. We're also now hearing from Wake County Commissioner Greg Ford. He tweeted out, quote, "I'm with county leaders from across North Carolina in a ballroom at the Durham Convention Center where the gas explosion was quite loud and it shook the chandeliers, hoping everyone is okay." Unfortunately, we do know one person died, a Durham firefighter taken to the hospital in serious condition, 15 people taken to local hospitals. We are working to learn more about their conditions at this time. Durham authorities not releasing that firefighter's name or the deceased's name, but again, we are expected to learn more during a 2 o'clock briefing. The one big note that Durham authorities have been pushing nonstop in any of these briefings, anytime we chat with them, is to avoid going to downtown Durham. That area needs to be open for law enforcement and emergency personnel to safely work this scene. We're right near the intersection of Duke and Jackson. We see police tape up here, there's detours up here. So while traffic is moving a little bit more smoothly through this area, if you can avoid coming to downtown Durham, please do so. We will be streaming that 2 o'clock press conference live, and again, we'll have live coverage throughout the day as we continue to work with authorities to learn more information about this case. I'll send it back to you guys for now.
Michael Perchik, downtown Durham, thank you.
All right, thank you. And we're going to continue to follow this breaking news right here on Eyewitness News. And you're seeing
just devastation there from that building. That these live pictures from Chopper 11 HD, the roof is gone, just a charge of debris, and we continue to follow more into this. Now, following this blast after a natural gas leak around 10:30 this morning.
We've been showing you the dramatic video and the pictures and talking to people who witnessed it, who were there, who felt the explosion, who heard it. Also, we are understanding that, first of all, the most important part, one person has been killed, a firefighter has been seriously injured, 15 people have been taken to area hospitals. This has been a very traumatic and dramatic situation for so many people in the downtown Durham area. We also understand, and we've been waiting for confirmation from this, that a nearby building near the explosion housed a very high-end car collection. We have reached out to the owner of this car collection, probably one of the most rare of this particular type of vehicle out there. He did not want to comment. But that is something that we have been waiting for confirmation. You can actually see what looks like cars in some of the videos through the hole in that building, which is adjacent to the one that has partially collapsed.
And as Barbara said, many folks in Durham heard or felt that blast this morning, including a woman named Robin, who drove past the building just moments before the blast, and she smelled a strong odor of gas. Here's what she told us in a telephone interview.
I was sitting at the traffic light next to the fire truck, and I smelled heavy, heavy gas. I saw a business owner put a sign on his door that the business was closed for the day due to a gas leak. And as soon as I went past through the traffic light, the whole building exploded behind me. Wow. I've never seen anything like it before, and my heart, obviously, especially a young firefighter, was standing next to the building when it happened. But there was the building, I don't know which one collapsed, but the building next to it, there were people in that restaurant. People were running toward the building, people were screaming.
A very dramatic testimony from that lady.
Yes, she actually drove right past it. So many people were right in the area when this explosion occurred. Now, another woman, these are live pictures now from Chopper 11 HD, and you can actually see what we were talking about earlier, the high-end car collection in the building that is next door to the one that had the natural gas explosion. And this, from what I understand, is one of the most rare of this type of collection. I believe they are Porsches. We have reached out to the owner of this collection. He has not commented officially, does not want to comment, as you can imagine.
Absolutely. And of course, our greatest concern, though, is for human life. One person is dead, one firefighter seriously injured, others taken to the hospital as well. But we'll monitor that expensive car collection as well, because that is of interest to many folks. You know, another woman named L'Oreal described the scene as something similar to 9/11. One minute she says she saw a man standing on the street, and the next minute he was gone.
We were sitting right literally at the light in front of El Torreros. El Torreros was to our left, there was a fire truck to our right, and there was one in front of us. There was a firefighter had just went into El Torreros, and there was a worker standing in a white shirt, and then like two other firefighters there, and then like a white senior citizen bus. And you know, we were just like, man, they must have hit a gas line. And like literally as soon as I said that, it just exploded. The whole car shook. If we had been through the intersection, the windows would have been knocked out of the car.
Now, could you smell any smoke beforehand? Not smoke, gas, heavy gas.
Yeah. Yeah, we could smell gas. You know, once we were like, oh, they must have hit a gas line. Because, you know, if they're doing construction in the fire departments, they're like, oh, maybe it's a gas leak or something like that. And then, like, not even a few seconds later, you just see fire explosion, and the people that were there, like, they disappeared in front of our eyes.
Wow, just one of many stories that we have heard this morning from people who were near the scene of this incident this morning in downtown Durham.
Yeah, so many people talking to us, so many people expressing themselves on social media. Amber's got the latest on what people have been seeing and hearing all morning. Amber.
Yeah, John and Barbara, we've been tracking the hashtag Durham Explosion and, of course, hashtag ABC11. We would like to know what you are experiencing and seeing. Of course, prayers for Durham is a big one now that a lot of people are sharing, and there are a lot of prayers going out to the city of Medicine. There is a trickle-down effect from all of this. The firefighters are using so much water in fighting that fire, the explosion today. The city of Durham letting people know that they are aware that they are getting a lot of reports of people that have brown or cloudy water, especially in the downtown area. And they want everyone to know in Durham that this is due to the extra demand on the system as they respond to this emergency. So they are using a lot of water, resulting in the fire, and they're asking for everyone's understanding and patience. And they also are just asking everyone to avoid downtown Durham right now if you can, as those first responders are working. But that's one of the trickle-down effects that we are seeing. And still, you know, it is really just still a major scene right now with all of the first responders and fire crews. So many people taking pictures, sending out all of their smoke video, and just kind of tracking the scene right now. As you said, John and Barbara, there's pictures of windows that are just blown out, and as our Steve Daniels in the Breaking News Center was saying too, a lot of that flying debris is also what caused a lot of these injuries. And then, you know, a lot of people are also specifically talking about Caffeinate, which is the address of where this explosion came out, and they are putting out information. Caffeinate itself is putting out information. I don't know if you're familiar with this coffee shop in Durham, but it was a family-run coffee shop. So they are putting out information on social media, and many people are reaching out to them to make sure that all members of their family are accounted for. So we continue to try to reach the folks there who run it. We've done stories with them in the past, so we do know that it is a family-run shop, John and Barbara, but it's a popular coffee shop, and we're all saying at this hour and just in this beautiful weather today, you know, Brightleaf, that's just such a spot that so many people just like to walk around. So a lot of people out and about when this occurred this morning. It's again, I'm going to pull this back up because you're going to be seeing this a lot. Prayers for Durham today, and they are certainly being sent that way.
Yeah, so many people need it too. Amber, thank you.
And ironically, this is the Durham's birthday. 150 years ago today, the city was incorporated. This is a day of celebration, and this is probably one of the worst disasters to happen in Durham in many years.
More breaking news coverage right after this.
This began at about 10:07 this morning when a contractor hit a natural gas line, which a short time later triggered a massive explosion and fire. Here at the 1 o'clock hour, we know sadly one person was killed. 15 others are in hospitals right now getting treated for their injuries. You can see a look at this devastation live from Chopper 11 HD overhead. That is what resulted from that massive fire there. You can see the twisted steel there, the melted steel in this building in the Brightleaf Square area of downtown Durham. This is on North Duke Street. It's about a half block north of Main Street. This is that very popular block. Torero's Mexican restaurant is there, the St. James Seafood restaurant just down the block. And right now we continue working to find out exactly what triggered this. We have some fresh information coming in from Dominion Energy, which now owns PSNC Energy, and they say that crews responded to the scene to a report of what they call third-party damage. That's the contractor that hit that 2-inch natural gas line. The natural gas and explosion occurred a short time later, according to PSNC. And this is what's interesting. We saw that massive fire fueled by that natural gas. PSNC now says that they were able to shut off the flow of gas about 45 minutes after that explosion happened. So PSNC says they got the report of the natural gas line that was cut by this contractor. They immediately sent their people in there to try to get control of this, shut down that natural gas line, but that process took about 45 minutes. Obviously, that was a very tricky situation trying to turn off that natural gas supply as it was fueling that massive fire. We're also learning some more details about that Porsche collection we showed you just moments ago. Chopper 11 HD flying overhead. This was historically known as the Studebaker building, built in 1920, and it houses one of the most significant collections of antique Porsches anywhere in the country. It's owned by Bob Ingram. You might know Bob well. He used to be the CEO of GSK, the global pharmaceutical company that had a headquarters and continues to have a large presence in RTP. That is Bob Ingram's very famous Porsche collection. He's well known for his charity work here in the Triangle. He often hosts charity events there in that garage that's housed by those Porsches. Obviously, that building and Bob Ingram's Porsche collection has suffered some significant damage there this afternoon, as we're seeing it for the first time there from Chopper 11 HD. We're also getting some new information from Duke University. Duke University, as you may know, has a lot of office buildings where they rent space in downtown Durham. And in fact, just across the street from where this explosion occurred, they do have faculty, staff, and students, they say, who have been evacuated for their safety. They're asking people to continue to avoid the area. And Duke also says some of its employees were injured from shattered glass. Those people have been taken to the hospital for treatment. They also warn, and this is the first we're hearing of this, that Duke Energy is conducting tests on the power grid this afternoon in downtown Durham. So if you're in downtown Durham or you know somebody there, there could be periods of blackouts where Duke Energy is going to cut the power. They are warning, that's the word from Duke University, that the power could be cut in downtown Durham in some locations this afternoon as they work to test the power grid and determine if there's any damage to the power grid. You are looking at the School of the Arts right there, just across the street. Thankfully, no injuries to the people there, to the children and the faculty at the School of the Arts. They have been let go. Those students have now gone home. Obviously, the big concern there was for many parents wanted to get their children and get them out of that area. But the other thing that's important to know right now, as we said, the natural gas supply has been shut off. There is no risk of any further explosion in downtown Durham right now. We know that firefighters have actually been testing natural gas in the sewer lines. They were taking readings in the sewer lines, and fortunately there is no lingering effect of that natural gas. But just a devastating scene here as we look at this building that exploded on North Duke Street, 1/2 block north of Main Street in downtown Durham. And a lot of the injuries, we're going to be piecing that together through the afternoon. But one of the keys here is that the debris was flying. It was propelled by that massive explosion. A lot of people were hit by bricks and other debris. What we're looking at here is obviously that is it looks like Wake EMS, according to that firefighter's jacket there. It would appear that they are looking at something, searching for something. This is the first sign we've seen of something that resembles a search. We have not been told that there is any kind of active search going on. We do know that some search and rescue firefighters from Wake County have responded there, what they call the Urban Search and Rescue Team. These people who are trained to deal with these kinds of things, building collapses, earthquakes, that kind of thing. We know that some of those firefighters were sent in from Wake County, but as we're looking at this, it's the first sign of something that they're obviously scrutinizing something there, these firefighters. We don't know exactly what. Our crews are some distance back. So Chopper 11 HD is really the best way to understand what's happening there at the scene of this horrible tragedy, this deadly gas explosion triggered by a natural gas line break. Our I-team also jumping in, investigating what may have gone wrong here. That's exactly what we do. Moments after something like this happens, we have our journalists who respond to the scene and cover this as breaking news, and we have our other team of journalists who take a look at this from an investigative standpoint. That's what our I-team does, and they have started asking some critical questions just moments after this happened. And the way we understand this is a contractor was doing some work there, hit this 2-inch natural gas line. That triggered the natural gas leak, and ultimately a short time later, according to PSNC, this explosion. We have been able to piece together, thanks to Jonah Kaplan's work on the I-team, that the contractor did call 811. That's what contractors know they have to do before they start digging. And then at that point, a request was submitted to PSNC Energy to mark the utilities. There's some question right now as to exactly how they were marked and what happened, what went wrong. But that happened about 3 days ago. That request was put in. So we understand that the approval was given, the proper protocols were followed, the approval was given for this contractor to start digging, to start their work around this natural gas line. Somehow, obviously, that natural gas line was hit and this horrible explosion happened. Very often in other parts of the country, in aging parts of historic downtown areas, not very different from downtown Durham, we've seen problems with aging infrastructure where the natural gas lines are crumbling, and that can lead to an explosion. That does not appear to be the case here at all in this historic part of downtown Durham. Something very different, something we see from time to time in the triangle that's growing so rapidly, so much construction going on. We from time to time do see natural gas lines that are hit. We obviously rarely see anything as devastating and tragic as this. Very often a contractor will hit a natural gas line, and within moments crews are able to go in there from PSNC and turn that off and mitigate any potential for an explosion or fire. But again, the new information coming in from Dominion Energy, now the parent company of PSNC Energy, is that their crews did respond after that contractor hit that natural gas line. They responded to the scene. They sent a team of people in there working to shut off that natural gas line, and then just moments after they arrived, that's when this explosion happened. Again, we're looking live here from Chopper 11 HD overhead as we continue our breaking news coverage of this natural gas explosion in downtown Durham. What appears to be firefighters taking a look at something there. We don't have any solid confirmation yet from Durham authorities that they've given the all clear, that there is no one else potentially trapped in there. So that could be what we're seeing there. We don't know. We are expecting an updated news conference at 2 o'clock where that will be one of the first questions we ask. John and Barbara, we're tracking it here in the Breaking News Center. I know you are in our downtown Raleigh newsroom right now, tracking it from there as well. And I'll let you know when we have some more information coming into the Breaking News Center.
Steve, thank you.
And as Steve mentioned, there's a possibility that you could see some blackouts in downtown Durham because of the testing of the power grid. That's from the electric company. Also, this word from the Durham Public Works, the water department. Because of all the water being used to put out that fire, there are reports of cloudy or brown water for some downtown Durham customers. Extra demand on the system. They advise that you not drink discolored water. It says cloudy water is typically an indicator of air bubbles. Your best bet is to flush your line with cold water at full force via a shower or tub until the water is clear, and they will update us when that situation slows down. So, water problem in downtown Durham as a result of all the water being used on this fire at the building that collapsed this morning.
All right, so many people live in that area. There are restaurants, so that's a good thing to know. Right now at the top of the hour, 9 minutes after 1, here is what we know. One person was killed, one firefighter injured, and 15 other people also injured in an explosion in downtown Durham that stemmed from a natural gas leak. This all starting at the Caffeinate coffee shop. A contractor was called out to stop a leak there at the shop, and the contractor hit the line. This is still, as you see, very active scene, so you're asked to stay away from downtown Durham this afternoon.
Let's go now to Ed Crump, who is standing by at Durham School of the Arts, which let students out early today because it's right next to this situation. Ed, the good news is that none of those students were injured.
No, John, but it is awful close. This is the Durham School of the Arts complex going right down this way. You see a building right here, and then look how close it is to the actual scene where everything is going on down there. One mother that we talked to that came to pick up her kids here today says she works just over in that area. She heard and saw what happened and was a little concerned. Here's what she had to say.
Work in the Durham Center. And it was about a little bit after 10, and we heard just like a loud explosion that shook our building. And then we saw the smoke. So, and then right after that, we started texting our kids at DSA, and they were on lockdown for a while, and then they went ahead and released them.
Was that one of the first thoughts you had about the kids?
Well, yes, when I realized where it was, because it was hard to kind of see at first where the explosion was, but then it was, yeah.
So what went through your mind then immediately when you realized where it was?
You know, fear and just afraid, but was able to get a hold of them pretty quickly, and my coworker also has kids there, and she was able to get a hold of her kids, so we knew they were okay.
Everything work out orderly here? Are you happy with everything?
Yeah, it was pretty good. So.
All's well that ends well here. You must be concerned about over there.
Yes, and we haven't really heard very much, so we don't know about injuries or anything like that. So hopefully everybody will be okay.
Great. Lori, thank you so much. Yes, so we all are hoping that the extent of the injuries is what we already know at this point and nothing more than that. There are a number of people massing down here. Just a few minutes ago, the police chief of Durham, Chief Davis, was here, and I asked her what that was all about, and she said that those are people who are going to be checking other buildings around this building and making sure that everything is secured around it, as firefighters are likely the only ones who can get into that rubble right now, if they can even get in at all yet. Also talked to people with the Go Triangle bus system. They have buses staging all around this area for however they might be needed to get school kids out, to help with school, any evacuations or anything else that needs to be done here. So Go Triangle is here as well. There's been quite a massive response, not only of first responders from Durham and Durham County, but from all over this area trying to help out here. John and Barbara, we're again just keeping our fingers crossed about what more they're going to find down there once they're able to get into that building.
Such a devastating scene. Thank you, Ed Crump.
Ed Crump live on the scene. Also, Tim Pulliam has been on the ground for us throughout the morning, talking to people who witnessed it, who were actually there when it happened, felt and saw it. Let's go to him now with the latest. Tim, where are you? And have you talked to any more witnesses?
I have talked to some more witnesses, Barbara. There are not a lot of them here still at the scene. A lot of them have left. We are here by Duke Street, very close to the Brightleaf Square district, and you can see that there are still crews here. Within the last 15 minutes, I saw more crews walking towards this scene. I tweeted some of that video here. This is a very controlled scene at this point, but when talking to eyewitnesses, they described the noise that startled them, that, sounded like a bomb had went off. They were startled, rushing out of their buildings, evacuating. So this was a very frantic situation for them. I spoke to a construction worker. We are here by Duke Memorial Church, and they are doing some construction work on the facade of this church as well as on the roof. I want you to listen to his reaction of what he saw and heard. Let me just bring you in, Mr. Hendrick. Tell me what you heard and what you saw.
Well, we were up on the roof, popping our lines and everything, and out of nowhere we hear this loud boom and felt an aftershock. The whole roof system shook, and I immediately looked over this way, and pretty much all you see is just a cloud of smoke go up, and then you see the building just slowly crumble down and people scattering out of there and everything.
What was going through your mind when you saw that?
Honestly, I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. So, I mean, my first instinct was like 9/11. And then, all I could think about is, just my wife and my kids.
Right. There was several of you on the roof. How many? Because you guys have been working all morning.
Yeah, there were about four of us over here, about 5 or 6 on the other side. We all felt the aftershock from it.
Unbelievable. We're still waiting to find out how many people were injured from this incident. Your thoughts to them right now?
Man, I pray, not too many people got hurt too bad, and, a lot of prayers go out to the families of anybody injured, really.
Absolutely. Mr. Hendrick, thank you so much. I imagine work is suspended for the rest of the day. Have you got the call yet?
Right now we're on standby just to see if the smoke's going to clear out and if we're going to be able to get back up there. But there's a good chance it might be called for the day.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Hendrick, so much. So that interview was around 11 o'clock. So it was very fresh in his mind. Now we're around the 2 o'clock hour, 1:30 hour. They are back at work. So they took about a 2-hour break, and now they got the call that they can go back to work on the roof. So that is where they are now. But just taking a live picture here on Duke Street, you can see that it is still shut down, and it will be the case for several more hours. I want people to go to my Twitter page because I just tweeted some images that are a closer look of the damage. I have a few sources here that are working the scene, and they sent me some of those images. So go to my Twitter page at TimABC11, and it's a front close view of them working to get this fire under control. That is the very latest out here. We'll bring you more much later in the newscast. But for now, we are live in Durham. Tim Pulliam, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
All right, Tim, thank you.
We need to tell you that the Orange County Sheriff is assisting with crowd control, and there are a number of intersections still blocked off in downtown Durham. Also, North Carolina Emergency Management is on scene monitoring the situation, and we expect a briefing from the police department around 2 o'clock this morning. We're going to take another short break as you look at these live pictures from Chopper 11 HD. You just see the sheer devastation there at that building, the old Studebaker building in downtown Durham. Into Duke Hospital. Let's get an update now from Diane Wilson from the scene of the hospital. Diane, any updates on the injuries?
John, you know, still right now we do know 11 people were taken here to Duke University Hospital. The other 4 people were taken to Duke Regional Hospital. The only statement Duke University Hospital is releasing at this point is this: we are currently in the process of responding to incoming patients and have no specific information to share at this point. Our focus at this point is caring for those who have come to our ER. As soon as we do have that specific information to share, we will do so. So that's the latest. We know 11 victims were taken here to Duke University Hospital, the other 4 to Duke Regional, which is off of Roxborough Street. But I will tell you this, we are about over 1.5 miles from the explosion scene in downtown Durham where we are at. And we were talking to people around this area, some that are staying in a hotel right here, and they actually heard and felt the explosion here, which is more than 1.5 miles from the explosion. They said it sounded like dynamite went off, and so they were asking us what happened. So that's how far this explosion, the lasting impacts, was even here 1.5 miles outside of Duke University Hospital here. So we will continue to monitor. We're hoping an update soon on the 11 victims that were taken here to Duke University Hospital and the other 4 that were taken to Duke Regional off Roxborough Street. That is the latest here at Duke University Hospital. I'm Diane Wilson, ABC 11 Eyewitness News. Back to you.
Diane, thank you for the update.
All right, Amber, Diane said it all. So many people are reacting on social media. They're also at the scene talking to our reporters, but a lot of people just really telling what they know and what they've seen on social media.
Yeah, it's just been an incredible morning to watch everything unfolding online as well, because as we know, during these times of breaking news, when there is just a fluid situation like this, social media really is the lifeline to get your information out, and that's how we grab information. And I should let you know, we confirm everything. We might use this as a tool, but it is something that we certainly confirm here at ABC 11 before we go on the air with any information about injuries, fatalities, and all of that information. And of course, our reporters on the ground are working to do that as well. So while this is a wonderful way to gather and get a pulse of what's going on and kind of see how things are moving forward, this is what we saw at the scene of this. This is Christian Leonard, who climbed to the top of a parking garage nearby to get this footage here from a higher vantage point of the reported gas leak. And you can just see that black smoke pouring so thick over the city of Medicine this morning after that explosion. You can see just the building collapse here. And at this moment, as we watched it unfold here at ABC 11, I think all of us knew that we were going to have to brace for the worst here. That it did turn out to be a fatal gas explosion that reportedly happened at the Caffeinate coffee shop nearby. The address that officials gave us of where this happened was Caffeinate. And this is Caffeinate's Instagram this morning, which they posted earlier, which as we're piecing this together, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are closed today. So the understanding is that there was the smell of a gas leak, which they were investigating. Caffeinate closed. They posted that. We'll keep you updated on this tomorrow. Thanks for understanding. You should see the comments, the love, the hearts, the prayers, hoping everyone is safe, going out to them. My heart breaks for you guys. Hope everyone is safe for Caffeinate, because they were really in the center of all of this as it unfolded. Most of the eyewitnesses that we spoke with saying it looks like a war zone in downtown Durham. I mean, it looks like a war zone. Debris everywhere. There are bricks everywhere. The smoke, as you can imagine, the shattered glass. A lot of that flying debris is what caused a lot of the injuries. Here's some of the buildings, the windows nearby that were blown out. Huge explosion near Brightleaf in Durham. My heart is breaking right now. This is some of our early morning coverage here with Chopper 11 HD over the scene as firefighters work to extinguish that. Now, because of the work that the firefighters were doing there, they were putting such a draw on the water system. The city of Durham started getting reports that downtown Durham was starting to see a lot of brown and cloudy water in the nearby areas. And as you know, a lot of businesses are around there. So on Twitter, this is how we're getting a lot of the information, how they're getting the information out on what you should do about flushing your lines with cold water if you can. But they said, the city of Durham, that Durham City Fire using a lot of water right now to fight the resulting fire from today's explosion at Brightleaf Square. So they appreciate everyone's understanding and patience. They urge you to continue to avoid the area as first responders work this emergency. And sadly, Another scene here of those big flames shooting above that building where this happened. Brightleaf and Durham, Duke up, folks are safe but shaken up. We are not sure of the details yet, but here at ABC 11 we have been working all day to gather these details, and we are getting a timeline of how all of this is unfolding. Of course, it is still a breaking situation, and John and Barbara, I keep showing this prayers for Durham because there's so many going out to all of these people affected in this tragedy that happened in Durham this morning, but we'll continue to monitor the situation here on social media. Use the hashtag Durham Explosion, hashtag ABC 11 if you have information you'd like to get to us quickly, and we'll make sure we get that out to you. But you know, a lot of the neighboring businesses are also starting to come in, John and Barbara, and we're putting some of that out on Twitter. They're offering some discounts and just some places for people to go if they're, you know, the day starts passing when you're in a situation like this, and they are starting to step up as well, offering their support for everybody who is affected. So we'll be sure to get that information out on Twitter.
All right, Amber, thank you.
All right, if you have pictures or video, you can hashtag ABC11. Of course, want to make sure that you're safe to do so. You don't want to explore any areas where you're not supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Steve Daniels now in a breaking news center. Steve, you're in our downtown Durham studio. Some of the employees there may have heard what happened about 10:30 this morning.
In fact, many of our colleagues, our journalists here in our downtown Durham newsroom did feel it and heard it. They described this somewhat, some thought it was an earthquake, that the lights started shaking, the ceiling, we have this drop ceiling here, that it started shaking, some dust started falling off of that. So we're several blocks away here in downtown Durham, but yes, our journalists here did feel it as it happened shortly after 10 o'clock this morning. We're watching very closely what's happening from Chopper 11 HD flying overhead. Again, the 1 block north of Main Street on North Duke Street. We just saw a team of investigators go in there. They were wearing hard hats and oxygen tanks as they walked into this debris field surrounding this building that was the scene of this horrible, deadly explosion and fire earlier this morning. Right now, what is not clear to us is if they have been able to go inside and search for anyone else. It's not clear if there's the team of investigators I was just referencing. There they are. They have been going in this area. It's not clear if they are a search and rescue team or if they are investigators, but we're just seeing this as it's happening from Chopper 11 HD, and I wanted to explain to you what we're seeing because this is the best vantage point overhead to understand what is happening as we move forward in this situation, this breaking news coverage this afternoon. It's not clear right now. Again, as I say, if there's concern that there are people who may still be inside that building who may be trapped. This could be the urban search and rescue team that we understand has come into downtown Durham from Wake County right now. We are going to ask that question. That is the first question we're going to ask when the city and county officials assemble for a news conference at 2 o'clock. Is there any concern of anyone still trapped inside that building? Obviously, it's very unstable. It's a precarious situation. It's a very dangerous situation. It's still very hot. There are hot spots in there, and it's very clear that first responders have not been able to get in there and fully understand what is underneath that horrible situation there where this building collapsed in the aftermath of this explosion and fire. We also have some other video just in from one of our breaking news crews to help us understand how this unfolded shortly after 10 o'clock this morning. We can roll back that video here, and it's from the scene of the Durham School of the Arts. And immediately after this happened, the students and the faculty there, just right across the street from where this happened, they heard this massive explosion. They felt this massive explosion, and moments later, first responders said, "We need to get these kids out of the Durham School of the Arts." And this is the scene there. The school administration immediately called for all the school buses to get there immediately because they wanted to get those kids out. And you can see exactly what's happening here. These kids were sent home on their normal bus routes if they had parents at home. Other kids were taken to Northgate Mall where they were reunited with their parents at the Sears parking lot. And there were still other kids, if they didn't have parents at home, these kids were sent to Brogden Middle School. So there are still a lot of kids from Durham School of the Arts who are at Brogden Middle School waiting to be reunited with their parents if their parents work and they weren't at home to greet their kids this afternoon. But these kids from Durham School of the Arts, the faculty, the students there, thankfully they are all safe, but they have an incredible story to tell. First responders obviously were very worried after that initial explosion and fire. They didn't know if there would be subsequent explosions. They didn't know how far that fire would spread. So again, Durham School of the Arts right across the street there on North Duke Street. They decided to evacuate the school immediately and get those children on their buses and get them out of that area. Again, we're looking live overhead from Chopper 11 HD. Just watching a team of investigators, either investigators or rescue personnel. We don't know for sure if they're search and rescue teams or if they are investigators, but just going in there to this building where the explosion happened earlier today. We are working to get more information on that. We are also getting some more information about the people who were injured. As we told you, 15 people were injured, including a PSNC employee and a Durham firefighter. 11 of those people were taken to the trauma center at Duke, where they are in very good care, one of the best trauma centers in North Carolina. There were another 4 taken to Durham Regional Hospital, what we now call Duke Regional, and we're just learning from UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill that one person is being treated at UNC. We're trying to get some more clarity on that. UNC, the NCJC Burn Center in Chapel Hill, is the best burn center in North Carolina, and it is where people who suffer serious burns are always taken from anywhere in North Carolina. They have absolutely first-rate care, some of the best burn care anywhere in the world at the NCJC Burn Center in Chapel Hill, and we now are being told that one person has been taken to UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill. We're working to pinpoint that information to determine if that person is in fact at the burn center or at the ER. I suspect that person may have burns and is at the NCJC Burn Center right now. The I-Team also working to piece together what happened and understand how this happened. We do understand that the contractor who hit that natural gas line, that 2-inch natural gas line in downtown Durham this morning, did follow proper procedures before that work began. Obviously, something went very wrong there. We're not clear if the lines weren't properly marked or if the contractor somehow veered away from the marked natural gas lines. But they did call 811, followed proper procedures. PSNC Energy, to our understanding on the I-Team, did authorize this work to be done. And as we told you, Dominion Energy, now the parent company of PSNC, they have come out with some new information just in the past hour where they said they were notified about this natural gas leak. They sent a crew in immediately. They went in there to investigate. There was, according to eyewitnesses, a real smell in the air of natural gas. It was a substantial natural gas leak. The PSNC crew went in there attempting to turn that off. According to the information we have from PSNC Energy, the natural gas leak was lasted for about 45 minutes before they were finally able to turn it off. I suspect they had some trouble getting to the location to turn off the gas, perhaps because of that huge fire that was burning shortly after this happened. But again, the news from PSNC Energy, they say they sent a crew in there working to shut off that natural gas line after the contractors hit it, and shortly thereafter, after their team arrived, is when this explosion happened and then that massive fire. Again, what we're watching right now, a team going in there. It's not clear if it's a search and rescue team or a team of investigators, but we hope to learn more when Durham City and County officials gather for a news conference coming up at the top of the hour at 2 o'clock, which we, of course, will bring to you live. John and Barbara.
All right, Steve, thank you. We're also hearing from the governor. We'll tell you more about what the governor's doing with state and local officials after this.
Also, if you're in downtown Durham and your water is discolored, it's because of all the water they've been using on that fire. They tell you not to drink the water. Flush your line with cold water at full force through showers and tubs until that water is clear. You're watching Special Eyewitness News coverage. More after this.
Special Eyewitness News coverage of a natural gas leak and explosion in downtown Durham. We know that one person has died, a firefighter has been seriously injured, and 15 people taken to area hospitals. We're expecting an update from officials at the top of the hour. Right now, though, we did hear from the governor. We've heard from him actually twice. Governor Cooper spoke with Durham Mayor Steve Schewel and discussed state and local response to the explosion. The governor offered additional assistance and remains in contact with local officials.
Now, to give you a better idea of exactly where this explosion happened, this is a look from Google Earth. If we zoom in on the map into downtown Durham, you'll see where that blast happened at 115 North Duke Street. Here on the map, you can see the Prescient headquarters along Duke Street. It was destroyed in the explosion. You can also see the Durham School of the Arts very close by, which was evacuated. The students sent home. No students were injured. You can also see how close the explosion was to Brightly Square.
And as you might imagine, it's all hands on deck after the Durham explosion. Sheriff Blackwood, his command staff, and investigators have responded to downtown Durham to help as a result of the explosion. Around 10:27 this morning, Blackwood said, quote, fire units are actively working the scene. We're managing the perimeter and making sure the scene is kept secure.
Let's go to Michael Perchik now. He is at the Durham Police Staging Headquarters where a news conference will take place in about 20-25 minutes. Michael?
You know, John, we actually just moved from there over to Fernway and Duke, which is, for lack of a better term, ground zero. That's typically a 3 or 4 minute drive. It took us nearly 20 minutes to get over here, and that kind of explains how many roads are closed, as it's an all hands on deck situation with law enforcement. Here's what we're looking at right now. For several blocks along North Duke Street, we see emergency personnel, we see fire, EMS, police shutting this area down as they all kind of converge in this area. We are expected to learn more in the next half hour or so. As we have said, one person is dead, a Durham firefighter in serious condition, 15 people have been taken to local hospitals. Now, while we were over there at the old Durham Police Department headquarters, we did see Durham City Council members Charlie Reese and Vernetta Alston go down to get briefings of their own to some of the local officials working with law enforcement here to try and pass along any information. Now, over the past couple of minutes, we actually spoke with a local pastor who was staying at the Durham Hotel for a book signing. He said there were 30 or 40 people there when they heard that massive boom this morning. He said the first thing he thought of in this day and age was that it could be a possible terror attack, but he did credit local law enforcement. He said within about 30 seconds, he heard the sirens. The information got out that it was a gas explosion. He said just walking up and down the streets, you could see glass everywhere, shattered on the ground. You can actually see some if we zoom in just a little closely right here, just North Duke Street, just past where these two Durham Police Department officers are. You see a lot of glass on the ground right there. So if you are walking near this area for whatever reason, please do so with caution for debris that may have been pushed out from that gas explosion. But again, he tells me he's never heard anything like this before, but he did credit local law enforcement for their work in responding as quickly as they did. If you can avoid coming to downtown Durham, please do so. That's the one constant we have heard from city and county officials. The Orange County Sheriff's Office, they have been called in here as well to assist. We've seen the Raleigh Hazmat Team, Raleigh Fire. So really an all hands on deck situation with multiple agencies working to try and clear this scene as quickly and as safely as possible. John and Barbara, we expect to learn more at 2 o'clock. We'll be streaming that press conference live, and then hopefully we'll have some more information passed along then. But I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio for now.
All right, to Michael Perchik in downtown Durham. Thank you.
All right, let's go to meteorologist Brittany Bell in the First Alert Storm Center. This was actually seen on First Alert radar, wasn't it?
Yeah, Barbara, and that's really not uncommon. Radar can pick up on more than just rainfall. It can pick up on smoke, birds, and even dust. And that blast was so large. Notice that smoke is indicated by that green and even that yellow and red color. Usually that shows heavy rainfall, and that's showing just how thick that smoke was. And that continued to move to the southwest due to our winds out of the northeast. And this is showing the direction that that smoke took earlier this morning, basically following along Highway 15, tracking towards Sage Road, moving across Garrett Road, and even pushing into eastern sections of Orange County, making its way close to Chapel Hill. Some people in Chapel Hill might have been able to see that smoke due to that strong flow to the northeast. And here's a look at our wind direction off to the northeast, and that's why that smoke was able to flow into southern areas of Durham and Orange County. Winds for the most part are very light, around 2 to 5 miles per hour, so we're not expecting that to move pretty much that far south to Chatham County, but overall, once again, that smoke was thick enough to be caught by radar, just showing the magnitude of that blast. John, Barbara.
All right, Brittany, thank you.
Another quick break here. I want to remind you that downtown Durham is not the place you need to be if you don't have to be there. Lots of roads and intersections closed off. We'll continue to monitor the situation. You're watching special coverage on Eyewitness News.
Yes, let me get closer to the camera.
Our last student was just picked up at Northgate Mall, so a successful evacuation and early dismissal at Durham School of the Arts, right next to this, really not next to, right down the street from the building that collapsed this morning.
So fortunate no one was hurt there. We do know that one person was killed though, one firefighter seriously injured, and 15 people taken to the hospital. Tim Pulliam has been live on the scene for us since early this morning after this all happened, and he joins us now with the latest from close to the scene. Tim, good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Barbara. And let me just set the scene for you so you can see what I'm looking at. I'm here on Duke Street, and as you can see, this section of Duke Street is still shut down. I just tweeted some images of a closer look of what the devastation looks like. So you can go to @TimABC11 if you want to look. But there are just several crews here from neighboring counties, from Durham, that are still working this scene. Orange County Sheriff's Office is here just to secure the scene, to make sure that it is secured. A lot of the onlookers have left. As you know, earlier this afternoon, this morning, there were a lot of businesses that evacuated, and there were just people standing around everywhere taking photos and videos. But it's a lot quieter at this point. But you can see crews still working here. No more water is being sprayed on the building. If you look at a distance, you can see that there's a gaping hole where that business once stood. And then in the distance, you can see the Durham School of the Arts. I did speak with some witnesses who were headed to this direction from a nearby park. And this witness described to me a very disturbing scene. And I want to toss to this soundbite just to let you know that. But she talks about how she saw someone who was injured. Take a listen.
There was this lady that was on the side crying when I went to use the bathroom. And I was like, honey, are you okay? She goes, no, it's dead. I was like, wait a minute, who's dead? And he goes, we were in the front of the building and he went to the back. And as he was walking back to me, he blew up when the explosion happened right in front of my face. And they'd only been married a year.
Yeah, just so sad and disturbing. We know that one person has died from this incident, one firefighter injured, and several people at the hospital, as what we've been reporting this whole time. But as you can see, just back out here live, just crews working to process this scene. Not many onlookers out here at this point. We're going to stay out here and give you the very latest. But for now, we are live in Durham. Tim Pulliam, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
Boy, Tim. Just a devastating,
just heartbreaking
mourning for that woman and what she saw in the family, and just heartbreaking.
All right, Tim, thank you. We're going to continue our live coverage now. Ed Crump has been bringing us updates from Durham School of the Arts, successfully evacuated and the kids sent home earlier today. Ed?
Yeah, John, it's awful close. You see the rubble right down there at the beginning of the next block, and right here is one of the school buildings. By the way, right now this is how everybody's pitching in down here. You see that sign? It says bathrooms on the door. That's because they're allowing all the first responders out here to come down and use the bathrooms here, which has been much needed relief for many of them. Again, the school evacuated successfully, and we understand that they may be closed tomorrow. That's what I've been told here just recently. I did want to mention that we noticed about an hour ago more and more people congregating, that is public safety workers congregating down there. We asked Durham's police chief, who was here on the scene, what that meant and why she was here. Here's what she had to say.
Did you feel it was important for you to be here personally?
Oh, absolutely. This is impacting the entire city, so absolutely, yes.
Last quick question before you go to the news conference. All of these people have gathered here recently. Are they staging in order to go in and help search at some point, or what's going on?
Actually, they're staging here right now so that we can make sure that the area is safe and that the buildings can be cleared by some of our fire personnel.
So the chief said that, as you heard, that those folks would be going in the adjacent areas and checking that out and making sure things are safe as firefighters continue to work around and inside the actual building where the explosion was. I want to show you something here. Look down here on the ground. These are tracks from a trencher, which has obviously been digging a trench right here. Behind photographer Aaron Aslin is a cone over here, and you can see those cables coming up out of it. It looks like they've been putting cables down through here. I want you to note that this track, as Aaron looks back over this way, you see the track goes all the way down and right down in front of that building, right along Duke Street here. We're not sure if this is what they were talking about when they said a contractor was working down there, but I suspect this could be part of that whole project that may have caused a problem down there today. But it's going to be probably days before we know really those kind of details, John and Barbara. But for now, we're hanging tight, and as you mentioned, and as you talked about, we're going to hear some more details shortly in that 2 o'clock news conference.
Yes, Ed Crump at Durham School of the Arts, thank you. And DSA saying they are going to be closed tomorrow because they want to evaluate the structural integrity of that building. So that is confirmed from Durham Public Schools.
All right, the last time we checked in with Steve Daniels in the Breaking News Center, you were telling us about a search crew. We weren't exactly sure, Steve, what they were doing and what they were looking for.
We are learning much more about that, Barbara and John. First, I want to take you to Chopper 11 HD and show you what's happening at that building right now. As we take a live look, you can see firefighters have their hoses out and they're dousing hot spots down there. This is in that car collection we told you about. That's Bob Ingram, the former CEO of GSK, his Porsche collection, a very well-known Porsche collection. In that garage, he often hosts charity events. There is some damage there. You can see they are dousing those hot spots. You can see smoke still rising from this building that suffered this tremendous explosion and fire. Now to the details we're just learning. Jonah Kaplan on our I-team picking up some very critical details right now. A search and rescue task force has now been assembled there. They have been deployed to this building. We understand it is made up of 35 people from both Raleigh and Chapel Hill, from the fire departments in Raleigh and Chapel Hill. This urban search and rescue task force of 35 people. We see them going in right now, and we're able to make sense of this from Chopper 11 HD. Just a few moments ago, in fact, we did see some firefighters in that really badly damaged part of the building right there. Not the garage, but this area where the smoke is rising. We did see some firefighters in there in the Prescient Prescient building. That is the Prescient office space building. We saw firefighters digging through that debris. Obviously, the big concern right now and the big lingering question here this afternoon is when this happened, shortly after 10 o'clock this morning, how many people were in that building? We do know a total of 15 people were injured. One person sadly was killed. We don't know where those people were. If they were out there on North Duke Street, you can see that tremendous debris field. All of those bricks and other building materials went flying out when that explosion occurred. We don't know if those people were in surrounding areas, perhaps out on the street, and how many of those people were inside the building. And of course, the big concern is, are there people who were still unaccounted for who were inside that office building? Obviously, the heart of the working day there at 10 o'clock when people would have been inside their office building beginning their work day. So that is the key question and the first question we're going to ask and try to get some clarity on when this news conference happens in just about 10 minutes at the top of the hour in downtown Durham. But what we do know is that this urban search and rescue team has assembled. We have seen them there with their turnout gear on, their firefighting gear, with their hard hats and with their oxygen tanks. They are, at one point we saw them on the perimeter of the building. It looked like they were huddled. We just saw them from Chopper 11 HD moments ago, huddled and perhaps coming up with a plan of attack, how they're going to go inside this building and make sense of that destruction and determine if there's any concern about anyone else inside that building. And again, we also saw another firefighter there from Chopper 11 HD literally picking through the pieces of the debris in that building. In addition to that 35-member task force, this urban search and rescue team made up of firefighters from Raleigh and Chapel Hill. We understand there's a hazmat team that has been assembled and going in as well, and structural engineers are part of the team that is now responding. There is that team of people we see right there who look to be search and rescue personnel, perhaps part of this task force. One of the most critical things whenever we see this kind of thing happen, whether it's a building collapse like this from a natural gas explosion or it's an earthquake, before an urban search and rescue team can go in, they bring in structural engineers to try to make sense of the damage and the debris that's in there, because obviously they don't want to send these search and rescue personnel in and have them become part of the people who are injured as well. So it's very critical for them to go in and ascertain the structural integrity of what they're dealing with there, and try to understand if there's any risk to people going in there. So that could be why we're seeing this team of people here who appear to be part of a search and rescue team assembled outside before they're actually able to go inside and understand what they're dealing with there. This obviously you can see here, this was a two-story building that entirely collapsed in that explosion. So that is a tremendous amount of debris. It's obviously very, very hot. It's very, very dangerous. The smoke is still rising. They're still dousing those hot spots. So that is obviously a very tricky situation to try to send anyone in there to fully understand if there might be anyone else who is inside that building who was not able to get out. That's the key question right now. But that twisted steel there, that melted steel, just a very, very dangerous and delicate situation for any first responder who would be attempting to go inside there and conduct a search and rescue operation. These people are experts in this urban search and rescue team. They train for this. They know exactly what they're doing, but I'm certain they are proceeding with extraordinary caution right now before they try to go in there and see what else may be underneath that rubble. So we're making sense of a lot of this. Our crews are talking to the eyewitnesses and city officials on the perimeter of this, but it is Chopper 11 HD flying overhead that is giving us our best understanding of what's happening in the aftermath of this absolutely tragic and devastating natural gas explosion in downtown Durham on North Duke Street. Again, we're looking in there. That is what is left of this two-story building on North Duke Street, just about a half block of north of Main Street in the heart of the Brightleaf Square section of downtown Durham. And there, that is the front of the building, what used to be the front of the building there on North Duke Street. Just really devastating to see what is happening there. But the headline here, as we approach the 2 o'clock hour, a 35-member search and rescue task force from the Raleigh and Chapel Hill fire departments moving in there, assembling to try to make sense of what is underneath all of that rubble. That's what we've got here in the Breaking News Center right now. John and Barbara.
All right, Steve, thank you.
Quite a scene. North Carolina Emergency Management also there. I assume that federal officials will be on scene shortly as well. Our coverage continues. We are awaiting that news conference from local officials coming up at the top of the hour. You're watching Eyewitness News.
taking to social media to start to report what they're seeing. This is what happened first thing this morning. They're using the hashtag Durham Explosion. I work in downtown Durham in the building. We felt it shake. I have never been so scared. We had a lot of people saying that they really just thought that it felt like an earthquake. And now they're describing it as a war zone. That's what they're saying it looks like in downtown Durham. The governor also tweeting that Governor Cooper is monitoring the situation and North Carolina Emergency Management's on the ground. They are assisting local officials, all of the teams that train so much for this sort of event, and they are really putting that into action today. Here's a picture of the building as it was unfolding with the thick black smoke and the flames there shooting out of the top of the building. And this is some of the windows that are blown out. Some of that flying debris is also what causes a lot of those injuries. And as we know, this is still developing, so these numbers can change. But as of right now, we know that 1 person is confirmed dead, 1 firefighter seriously injured, 15 taken to the hospital. We hope those numbers don't grow, but we are still getting information in here. A photo of the destruction of the Durham explosion, no word on injuries. This is this person here on Twitter. They censored the photo because of the appearance of one. That's what we were seeing. You can see some of the injured as this was a breaking situation today. Now, Charlie Reese, one of the city council members in Durham, had a good point here, a very good tweet. This isn't how any of us wanted to spend Durham's 150th birthday, but the true measure of any city is how we respond to moments of adversity like the one we are going through today. And I thought that that was just so elegantly stated there from City Councilman Charlie Reese, talking about the situation that we have all been watching unfold in Durham since 10:30. Also, there are reports that there are many people around downtown that are seeing cloudy, dark water, and the city of Durham responded to that, saying that this is a result of today's explosion and the firefighters that were that needed to use so much water to fight that fire. They're asking for everyone's patience, and they are giving information about flushing your lines with cold water if you can, because a lot of businesses relying on that water this afternoon. So we would like to see your pictures and see your moments as they are unfolding. And you know, as we were saying, now we do start to see a lot of people coming together, John and Barbara. So many people that are doing hashtag prayers for Durham, but we do start to see a lot of people that come together in this. Hashtag Durham Explosion, hashtag ABC 11. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Amber. And so nice to hear those words from Charlie Reese, the city councilman. That is the true measure of a city, how people come together in moments of adversity.
No doubt about that. Now, we are waiting an update from city officials any time now, so we will bring that to you when we get that news conference. But first, we want to just go over what has happened this morning. If you're just now tuning in, breaking news coverage of this deadly explosion in downtown Durham continues right now. We're awaiting that news conference from Durham Police.
ABC 11 first crews on the scene, witnessing the frantic scene to rescue the injured and to put out the flames from that blast. We know, as we've said, 1 person was killed, 15 others injured in what appears to be a gas explosion. Happened after 10 o'clock this morning. 1 person was taken to the UNC Burns Center in Chapel Hill. This happened at the Prescient building on North Duke Street, which is near the Durham School of the Arts. State officials have deployed a 35-person urban search and rescue task force to the scene.
Now, none of the students at the school were injured. We got some great information from school authorities there who said that the last child that needed to be taken home had gotten home, and so no one was hurt at that school. But you're seeing now live Chopper 11 HD pictures of the front of this building and what was inside after this devastating explosion this morning. So it just that we know that there are people that are injured. There know that a lot of people who experienced this and felt this really are just traumatized by it.
Durham School of the Arts, excuse me, is going to be closed tomorrow while the officials investigate the integrity of the building, just to make sure it's safe before they allow those kids to go back there. But again, no students at that school were hurt. We had reports of shattered glass at a number of the buildings surrounding this area. Glass was shattered. People could hear it for quite some distance away, and with the clear skies, the black smoke that ascended from this could be seen all over the city of Durham.
And as John just said, there is a 35-person urban search and rescue task force at the scene. We have seen some members of what looked like that search crew in the area there, going in to investigate and see what exactly happened here.
Governor Cooper is monitoring the situation here, although there does not appear to be any immediate danger. They have shut off the gas in this area. Also, North Carolina Emergency Management, we expect OSHA to be on scene if they're not there already, as they continue to monitor just what happened. There was a crew doing some work, a contractor on a sidewalk by that building, and hit a 2-inch natural gas line, and that apparently sparked the leak.
And you see those first responders still on the scene. We also found out that there was a very valuable Porsche collection right next door to the building where that explosion occurred, and we have reached out to the owner, have not gotten a comment, but again, a lot of devastation in this area today, but so many praying, and hearts are with those, the person who died and those who are in the hospital right now. We also heard from some of the hospitals. They are busy treating those people who have been brought in, and they're going to give us an update when they are able to do that.
Several of the people taken to Duke Hospital, in fact 11, and our Diane Wilson was reporting there that they're just doing the best they can to keep up with the injuries that they received. And as we said, one taken to the UNC Burn Center in Chapel Hill, known as the finest medical facility for burn patients in North Carolina.
And again, Dominion Energy, which is now the head of PSNC, said that it took them about 45 minutes to get this gas leak shut off because of the intense flames and the smoke, but they were able to do it, and now they're going to be able to go in and really investigate what happened.
Our reporter Jonah Kaplan did some investigating and found out that the contractor was up on his or her, what I'm trying to say here is that the person met all the qualifications to do this work. The contractor called 811, which is the number to call when you're doing this kind of work to talk about gas lines. The contractor was hired at Cafinet, dialed 811 before conducting the work. 811 almost immediately then transferred that request to PSNC, and they confirmed the receipt. It's likely that all the utilities were marked properly, but there will be an investigation to figure out exactly what happened.
And so many people on the scene who've been reporting say it may look calm now and organized, but they said when it happened, so many people, so many eyewitnesses say when it happened, it was chaotic. People felt it over a mile away from the scene, some near Duke University Medical Center, a person staying in a hotel in that area. They felt it. They got out on roofs of buildings, took pictures, took video, and have been reporting what they've been seeing for hours now.
This building was built back in 1920 and it was known as the Studebaker Building. The Prescient company leased the space starting back in 2017, but they were not the owners of the building. It's actually owned by a West Coast real estate company called 2050 Bentley LLC.
Now, we heard from Durham Police probably, what would you say, about a little more than an hour ago, and we're about to get another update. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon. You guys ready? Somebody just fell. Ready? All right, my name is Will Glenn, Durham Police Department Public Affairs Manager. We're going to give an update about this morning's downtown explosion. I want to reiterate this is an ongoing investigation, so we're giving information that we have at this time. We're going to have 4 speakers behind me. We're going to start with Durham Mayor Steve Schewel. That is S-C-H-E-W-E-L. Followed by Durham Fire Chief Robert Zoldos. Zoldos is Z-O-L-D-O-S. Followed by Durham Public School Superintendent Pascal Mubinga. Mubinga's M-U-B-E-N-G-A. And lastly, Durham Police Chief Saralyn C.J. Davis. When Chief Davis is done, we'll have a quick Q&A as well. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Will. I'm Steve Schewel, Mayor of the City of Durham, and I'm
I want to say how appreciative I am that I'm joined today by many of our elected officials who are over here to my right, my city council colleagues, members of our county commission, our sheriff and others, and I appreciate them being here. This is the kind of day that you never prepare for as a mayor. It's not something that you necessarily think that you're ever going to have to face. And let me just tell you the two emotions that I've experienced and that I feel right now. First of all, it's been what happened today. We have to acknowledge we've had a terrible tragedy today. We've had the loss of one life, and we don't know, there could be more. And you're going to hear all the facts from Chief Zoldos in a minute, all the facts that we know. We have people in the hospital in intensive care. And so I feel a real sense of loss and of grief. It's a very difficult day in that way. But I feel something else as well. And that is a tremendous sense of gratitude. When I came today, when I drove over this morning with Deputy City Manager Bo Ferguson and Chief Zoldos, as soon as we understood what was going on, got out of the car, and let me tell you what I saw. I saw firefighters with their hoses as far as I am from you, fighting that fire, not knowing if there was another potential gas explosion. I saw police officers setting the perimeter and other police officers going into these buildings to make sure that people were out. I saw our EMS folks, our emergency management and EMS folks doing what they do so well, preparing to, already prepared to do the emergency work that we needed. I saw the medics, the EMS medics, who were helping people on the ground with glass cuts. I saw them helping them. I saw them bandaging their wounds. I saw them getting them, if necessary, onto a stretcher and quickly getting them to where they needed to be in the hospital. This is Durham's 150th birthday today. It's an irony, I know. But what I will say about that is that what we hoped would be a very happy day, it's not a happy day, but again, it's a day when I am so proud of how our local government functions. I am so proud of, especially of our firefighters and their courage and their persistence. And some of you all, if you would have seen it out here, and I know some of you probably were here, and you saw our firefighters, how tired they were, and one group would go in and the other would come out, and they would be exhausted and they would be getting ready to do what they needed to do. I saw the incredible coordination between our police chief, between our fire chief, emergency management, and EMS. And our city manager, Tom Bonfield's out of town, but Bo Ferguson stepped so ably into his shoes. And our friends from the county government were here as well. Durham Public Schools, and you're going to hear from our superintendent in a minute, calmly got all the kids dismissed early on a bus and taken to where they could meet their folks. So it's a sad day, but it's a day that I also feel a lot of gratitude and a lot of pride in the folks that work for this city and county and how well they did their job. So I think I'll stop there, and I'm going to turn this over to Chief Zoldos. Let me just say that Chief Zoldos is a new chief in Durham. He hasn't been with us very long, but he stepped right into the breach today. I rode over with him this morning. He got out of the car. He said it was one of the few days he was going to be at our 150th celebration. He says one of the only day he's been in Durham that he's been in his civilian clothes. He had to go back and get his uniform on. He stepped right into the breach, and we already had firefighters, as I said, on site, many of them arriving, already here and arriving. And I'm just so proud of his leadership, and I want to introduce him to you now for him to tell you what we do know I should say one other thing before I introduce him. There's a lot we don't know yet. And for things that we're not sure of, we're not going to put them out. We're only going to put things out when we're really sure. There's rumors that fly in this kind of situation, and we're not going to confirm or deny any rumors. What we're going to try to do, all of us, is to just give you the facts that we know. So I want to introduce Chief Zoldos to tell you what we do know so far. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon. My name is Bob Zoldos. I'm the Fire Chief of the City of Durham Fire Department. To what the Mayor just said, this is my 148th day as the Fire Chief, just shy of 150. Here, as best we know as right now, at 9:38 this morning, fire units were dispatched for a gas leak in the 100 block of Duke Street, right behind me. Durham Fire Department's engine company number 1 arrived to find a significant gas leak, requested additional resources, including Dominion Energy, and started an evacuation in cooperation with Durham Police Department. At 10:07, while in the middle of their evacuation of all the units behind us, there was an explosion that involved approximately 5 buildings on this block, including catastrophic damage to 1. Also of note, 1 Durham firefighter was seriously hurt in the operations during the evacuation, was transported from the scene, is being treated, and is in surgery at this time. His injuries are serious but not life-threatening. As far as all other people, all other known people, people that were known to be in the buildings or around or have been accounted for, but there are still significant areas we need to search. Now, there was a significant fire was started due to the blast, and damage to several structures resulted. At this time, the fires have been contained and are under control, but the incident is far from over. Units are starting detailed search and rescue operations through North Carolina Task Force 8, which includes Durham, Raleigh, and Chapel Hill fire departments. This will take some time to go through a very detailed search and rescue operations, which will include tunneling as well as delayering of the structure. This could take some time and could possibly go for a couple of days. During these operations, some of the downtown will be shut down so that we can continue safely our operations. And I'm going to pass on to our police chief right now, who are going to talk about some of those closures.
Good afternoon, everyone. We prepare our whole careers for days like this, and we hope they never come. Today, I want to, first of all, commend the first responders who were here at the beginning of this incident, and under the leadership of Chief Zoldos, who is our new fire chief. We couldn't be in more capable hands. There is a perimeter set up around the hot zone area that's being worked right now by the Durham Police Department. We also have additional command posts that are set up throughout the event so that the fire department has the support that they need in order to mitigate this situation. So the Durham Police Department, in collaboration with our city public affairs, will be sending out notices to let individuals who live in this area or have business in this area, let them know when they can return to potentially retrieve property and so on. We also plan to utilize our media outlets to help us with some of these announcements, but social media will be one of the other means of letting our citizens know when they can enter this area again. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it back over to Chief Zoldos.
Touch on 2 other things for you. Resources on scene right now include Durham Fire Department, Durham Police Department, Durham Public Works, Durham City County Emergency Management, Durham County Sheriff's Office, Durham County EMS. The City of Raleigh Hazmat's team, North Carolina USAR Task Force 8, which I mentioned before, North Carolina State Bureau of Investigations, the ATF, North Carolina Emergency Management, Durham Public Schools, Public Service Gas North Carolina, Duke Energy, and Chapel Hill Fire Departments. Finally, the cause of the explosion is under investigation by the the Durham Fire Department's Fire Marshal's Office, assisted by the State Fire Marshal, the Durham Police Department, ATF, OSHA, and the State Bureau of Investigations. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Pascal Mubenga. I'm the Superintendent of Durham Public Schools. Let me take this opportunity to thank all our emergency management partners, as well our first responders. This is really a bad and sad day for Durham, but we are really grateful that we have folks in place that we're able to carry out their jobs properly. As far as Durham Public School is concerned, All our students are sound and safe, and at this time, all of them got home. For that reason, I want to give credit to our staff for putting our plan through the motion to make sure that our students were able to get back to where they were supposed to be. Tomorrow, as far as school is concerned, we're going to close Durham School of the Arts tomorrow. We really want to make sure that we're going to inspect our building to make sure that everything is in place. Tomorrow, there's going to be no school for Durham School of the Arts. As far as our families and our students are concerned, we are making available our Staff Development Center tomorrow for our parents and our students as well. We understand that some of our students as well as our parents, they're going to need some kind of counseling, some kind of emotional support. That's the reason why we're making this center available for them. So we are here to make sure that we're really working with our parents, making sure that every student in Durham Public Schools, that they are safe. Incident like this, a day like this, we really want to make sure that we have a plan in place so that our students will be safe. And I'm really proud of the work we've done. And again, I'm going to extend our sympathies on behalf of our students, our staff, and our board to all the families that's been really affected by this tragedy.
At this time, we'll take whatever questions you may have.
Will, elected officials reported a second death. Can you comment on that and give us an updated number of deaths and injuries? Sure. We have one confirmed fatality on scene. The second report was somebody who was unaccounted for, that has been accounted for from one of the construction firms. That does not mean there's not other people still in the structure. That's why we're continuing rescue operations. We're going to be starting up with the search and rescue task force, moving through the structure, taking it apart piece by piece, in case someone was inside that was unaccounted, that we didn't know about prior to. Current number of injured? I can go to the Durham County EMS, who can talk to you about injuries and transports.
Hi, I'm Lee Van Vliet, Assistant Chief from Durham County EMS. So regarding the injuries, first I'd like to thank the dedicated staff of Durham County EMS. Our paramedics and EMTs have been working awful hard today. Also, we would like to thank Orange County EMS, Prescient County EMS, and particularly Wake County for providing backfill paramedic units into our county while we've been tied up here on this large incident. And we also have some Wake County personnel here as part of the USAR Task Force 8. Assisting with our operations on the scene. For what we transported so far from the scene, we responded immediately upon the first call of the explosion at this morning. We transported all of our patients to the Duke Health System, University Hospital. We transported 7 patients there, 6 of whom were critical, and 1 has since been transferred to the J.C. Burns Center at UNC. We also transported 5 patients to Duke Regional Hospital. Additionally, some patients showed up by private vehicle at both Duke University Hospital and Duke Regional Hospital to bring us to a total of 17 patients seen at the Duke Health System hospitals locally. Both hospitals activated their disaster plans and were able to accept all the patients that we had to send to them. And we'd like to thank them for their prompt response there and helping us with that. Both hospitals are back to normal operations. And as far as EMS goes locally, we're going to, of course, continue to remain on scene here, supporting the rescue and recovery operations while this remains a dynamic and dangerous scene.
Of the 17, only 1 is critical?
6 were critical. 1 of them was then transferred on to UNC Burns Center. It's Van Vliet, 2 words, V-A-N-V-L-E-E-T. Thank you.
Believe this would be a question for you specifically, but does anyone know the name of the contractor who was doing work out here when this gas line was happening?
I don't believe the names being released at this time. We will get that out when we have a chance to deny it this time.
What kind of work were they doing? What kind of line was it they were laying?
Bo Ferguson, Deputy City Manager. We're still confirming the details of the work that was done. There has been utility work in the area, boring for fiber and installing a fiber network around the city. We expect that that's related, but until we can confirm that's who was on scene, we haven't been able to confirm that, so we're not in a position to release the name of who was doing work in the area.
So was the city aware that this work, this digging was
our staff is still confirming whether or not there was an active permit in the area, and we'll release that when we have that information confirmed.
Was the road closed when the leak was reported? Yeah. Fire department, when we arrived, the road was not closed. I think it was just coned off for the work. But we weren't dealing with any closure. Just the work was on site.
Chief, to follow up on an earlier question,
yes.
I understand that there's no reports of anyone. You're hoping when you search the building you don't find anyone else because there's no reports of others.
That's correct. Typically in fire rescue services, until we've searched it, and in a collapse like this, you could have had somebody who wandered into a store where the clerk didn't even know they were there. And so what we want to do is take apart the building, get down to the granular level of everything to make sure we can confirm it. Every report of people inside, they've all been accounted for those that have been reported inside. It's just, that's just how we do business to make sure everyone's been taken care of. Hey, Fire Chief, can you explain the timeline again this morning? Sure.
And call it 9:30 to 10:07.
Yeah, let me get my notes to give you the particulars, but the time at 09:38 this morning, 9:38 a.m., fire units were dispatched. A single engine company was dispatched for an odor of gas in the area. They had arrived on scene, requested additional resources, as well as the gas company, and started the evacuation in cooperation with the police department immediately upon their arrival. And at 10:08 is when the explosion happened. 10:07. I'm sorry, 10:07. Thank you. Obviously, if you think about the numbers there, I'm extremely proud of the fire department members because I don't know how many people they evacuated and got them out of the hazard zone prior to the explosion, but obviously they put their lives on the line to do it, and I'm sure there's people they saved because of it. So.
As this search starts, can you give us some sense of the magnitude of the debris
Sure.
they're going to have to go through?
Sure, it's an entire structure that's down. We have all sorts of void spaces to look at. There is cantilevered collapses, there is pancake-style collapses, pretty much every type that's from an explosion. It looks like the front of the Pentagon at 9/11 on a very, very, very small scale comparatively, because it's got the same sort of damage. It's got collapse in the middle, and it's got some cantilever debris on the side. And I say that because I was a 9/11 first responder to the Pentagon. Looks very similar. So what does that mean to us? It means we have to delayer. We have to utilize every void space to look inside as much as we can, and then we're going to start using heavy equipment to remove pieces of the building as we move forward.
How many stories is that, and how large is it? Say it's in terms of square feet. Are we looking at 200 by 200?
If I had to guess, I don't really know. It's middle of the city block, right behind us, probably 100 foot in front, at least 50 foot deep or so. But I can get you the hard numbers later on. But it's 2 stories and probably has cockloft or attic space as well. So it's a significant area. And again, when it collapses, all that is still there. It's just in a much smaller space, which makes it harder for us to maneuver. We still see smoke behind you. Are there still hot spots, or what's happening? No, absolutely. There's going to be hot spots for a while. We're going to have smoke and steam for quite a while. Because as we open up a void space to get our people into search, we're going to be introducing oxygen to that. There'll be additional fires that light off. But again, it's contained and it's under control. With the ladder trucks we have here, the amount of water we have that we can bring to bear, there's no fire issue really anymore. But you are going to see hidden fires that will flash up a little bit as we move throughout the structure. North Carolina Task Force 8 is started. I don't know the technical means that they are going to be using. Typically, we'll use cameras. I don't know that any canine are here yet. We'll use the Delstar listening devices and so forth. Because there's been a fire involved, though, water and fire damage make a lot of that not as useful. So yes.
Can you identify that firefighter or share any more information about his experience?
What we can share is, again, he was in the middle of evacuation of people when the whatever exploded did. His family is either with him right now or getting to him, so we don't release the name yet until they're there.
How long has
So
been
that I don't have for you yet.
How widespread was the explosion felt for purpose?
It was felt citywide. I was at City Hall and people outside reported it to me immediately, and I heard the dispatch go off and then started to move towards the area. So no, it's definitely, there's significant damage, and you'll see damage down the block, at least windows broken and so forth.
All right, that's all we have for now, guys. I want to reiterate, this is an ongoing investigation. This is our last press briefing for today. We'll get information out as we can, though, as soon as possible. All right, thank you.
All right, you've been looking at a live news conference from Durham City officials as they give us an update on the terrible accident or incident that occurred in downtown Durham. 1 dead, 6 critically injured after that gas leak and explosion at 115 North Duke Street around 10 o'clock this morning.
And that building in question is housed by the company Prescient, and we have received information from the owners of that company. The Triangle Business Journal received this statement from Prescient, the chairman of Prescient, a building technology firm that's headquartered in Durham. Satan Patel says, quote, every employee is accounted for and safe with no injuries whatsoever. The building is a total loss. We will be operating from our Mebane offices and manufacturing operations for now, end of quote. And that's from the owner of Prescient, where that building had the gas leak and explosion today in downtown Durham.
Steve Daniels has been monitoring that news conference from our breaking news center. Steve, what did you pick up from what was said?
John and Barbara, obviously this is a very delicate operation that will continue as the urban search and rescue team tries to get inside the debris there at the building and conduct their operations. They are going to be going through this very carefully. As you heard the fire chief say, this is obviously a very tricky operation, this 2-story building that entirely collapsed. He said they are concerned about flare-ups and hot spots and potentially more small fires in there as they work through this building this afternoon. The key detail here is everyone has been accounted for, according to the fire chief, but he says they are going to conduct a thorough search operation using cameras, potentially canines, and listening devices to see if there is someone who may have been overlooked. But there's no reason to believe anyone is still in that building, trapped inside that building, or anyone else who may have been killed inside that building. But they are, just as a matter of their normal course of work with an urban search and rescue team, they are going to go in there and confirm that it is all clear that there is no one else in there. But again, everyone has been accounted for. That is the most encouraging news we've heard from there this afternoon as our local hospitals continue treating the injured. John and Barbara.
All right, Steve, thank you.
Durham Mayor Steve Schewel saying we've had a terrible tragedy today. The mayor went on to say that I feel a sense of loss and grief after this explosion, but I'm so proud of courage of our first responders. I feel a lot of gratitude and a lot of pride. And his sentiments are reflected by a lot of us today from what's happened.
And so many people praying for those who are in the hospital, and of course that one person who was killed. Eyewitness News will continue coverage of the breaking news that we have been covering all afternoon in Durham, and we'll have the latest on Eyewitness News today beginning at 4 or until it's warranted.